Hey, boys. How we doing? Baldy, what's that? What is that smile? You moved! Why'd you move to your right?
I didn't know I did. Did I move back? Am I good?
Yeah, you're good now.
Okay. Well, it's when you crop it like that, I have such a small margin to like move.
You're a big guy. I understand.
I'm a big boy.
It's a lot of man to crop.
He's a big boy.
He's a super big boy. Chat, I just threw up a picture of Crowder. I know he's not here with us, but he's here with us.
He looks good though.
Yeah, he looks. I picked a good one. I think. Let me know
He's
the
a
thoughts.
handsome man.
Crowdy boys got scrims and stuff like that. It's hard to do this show consistently with us because we got a lot of stuff going on. Busy guys. Obviously, Crowder coaching Faze, these two commentating and streaming all the time, me streaming all the time, having to do stuff with MB and tournaments and yada yada yada. There's a lot going on. So apologies for the lack of episodes throughout stage 3 so far, but we're here. We're going to talk about a lot of stuff today. The results from the group stage leading into the major, our thoughts on some of the new looks of the rosters, things like that. But you both are looking good, sounding good. God damn, are you guys talented? Thank you so much for joining. And yeah, it's probably gonna be a longer episode for us because we just have a lot to cover with a lot of the team changes that went down for stage 3. How are we feeling, boys?
I'm a little upset with Joe right now.
Why?
Because Joe had a matching blue shirt on with me, and I thought we looked very handsome. And Joe changed.
We have a ghost stream after this, so I got it out of the way now.
It had nothing to do with that. He just didn't want to match me.
You guys got a sponsor stream after. Look at you guys.
Yeah, at 7 p.m. Central, we're doing Warzone Wednesday. We're going to be giving away some tubs of Ghost and battling. Then after that, I'm going to play Resident Evil and shit myself.
I actually really want to watch that. I might tune in.
Maeve, what time did you get up today, Maeve?
I woke up at 2 p.m. All right, so let's...
2 p.m.?
Well, okay, so...
Your schedule for the major is going to be awful.
Monday, I streamed 16 hours, and I got off. I think I played Path of Exile late at night, and I got off at 11. And I was like, I'm going to go to bed, but then I ended up playing till like 2. Fell asleep at like 3. Then I went to stream in the morning, so I woke up at like 6. So I only slept like 3 hours. So then, yeah, last night I just kaput. I slept like 2 to 2. Yeah. Felt good. I'm back.
I don't know how you function like that.
That's how I am, dude.
I don't get it.
You like go, and then you have like a day where you just slumber. You remind me of like a bear. You hibernate.
Yeah, no. Each week, like half the days, I probably sleep 6 or less hours, and half I sleep like 10 or more. I don't know. It's probably going to result in my death. Yeah, it averages out. But I think consistent sleep is like one of the most important things from a health factor. Not really nailing that. But again, I drink lots of water.
That's good. Look at that. Wow. Such a hydrated guy. Well-rounded human being. You playing Resident Evil is going to be comedy.
Dude, the last
one. It's
one.
Be a good time.
The last time I had a lot of fun with it, actually. So I don't get viewership on COD like you guys, but like I'll play a lot more single player games than you do. Yeah. And like some games are like it'll drop off big time, and some games are like closer to 1-to-1. And like the only games that have really like stuck are like The Last of Us 2 and the last Resident Evil game I played. Like I played 7, and that was way after it came out. So I'm excited. People seem to enjoy it because I was terrified. That shit. Woo!
I'm stoked.
I'm very jumpy.
Very jumpy.
All right, chat. A lot happened in the past couple of weeks in competitive Call of Duty, and that's what we're going to be talking about today here on Hardpoints. Thank you guys so much for stopping in. Got about, close to 1,000 people chilling. It was a fun day of Warzone. We got a couple dubs, feeling good. Missed a lot of CDL action in terms of episodes, so we're going to try and get nice and caught up here. All right? So I think a good way to start is throw up the group standings for you guys and see how these teams play through their matches throughout groups, which will show you guys, obviously, the seedings going into the major, which is coming up. It's starting tomorrow. So, yeah, lots of things to cover. So let's throw this up real quick so you guys can see it on stream. Boom. So we have Group A and Group B.
We could touch on that real quick if you want.
Yeah.
Just the fact it starts tomorrow, and there's a small change to the schedule. I mean, I don't know how big it is, but
I think, too. Bang.
Well, it changed a little bit because it was 5 days before. It's been tightened up to 4 days. So it just means more matches each day. I mean, it's not a huge thing, but if we're going to talk about starting tomorrow, might as well cover it. But what Joe, what do you think there was the change?
Well, I think based on what Ultra last stage, people just thought momentum was a big factor. I think they wanted more games throughout each day. There's the option now. I mean, if you're in the losers bracket, you're playing minimum 2 a day. Once you get to Friday or Saturday, whatever it is. I mean, teams wanted to play more games is what it comes down to.
So this wasn't like a broadcast thing. This was like the teams wanted this change.
It'll
think
never
so.
be I don't think it'll ever be a broadcast thing if it's longer days, personally, because I think
Yeah.
anyone on the
Gotta keep it
broadcast
shorter.
side would always push for tighter days, less matches to more mimic sports and viewer fatigue. At
Got
least
it.
that's the way I see it. So I would think anytime it's more matches in a day, that is coming from the player side. But
Yes.
I also have no idea how that went down, so I'm not sure.
Oh, I mean, I'm sure it was. I mean, yeah, because it used to be 2 Wednesday, and then I think 2 Wednesday, and then maybe 4 on Thursday would pick up. But it's just to get rid of that extra day. I mean, we've had this discussion before. I think a lot of traditional Call of Duty competitive fans are very much they like as many games in a day as possible. Then
700 4 streams.
yeah, then there's the other side of it, which they like a couple of games because they get home from work, they throw it on. It's just like when you're watching a sports game, right? It's 2 to 3 hours, boom, you're done. You can focus on what else you have to do, which I totally understand. You're asking a lot for a viewer to watch even 4 matches. That's potentially over 6 hours to watch. But hey, players wanted it. I'm about it. Let's get it.
As a speaking from like a viewer perspective, chat, I'd love to hear what you guys think of like how many matches per day is like the sweet spot for you guys, and then YouTube too. For me, it's 3. I think 3 per day. That I don't care about 2 matches. I couldn't like. I just found it, at least for me, I didn't want to like stop what I was doing just to watch 2 matches and then move on. 4 is kind of a lot, like you said. What that's like ends up being like 6 hours, sometimes more. So that is kind of a big chunk of your day. 3 is great for me.
I'm fine with. I actually am the type of person that doesn't really mind whether it's 2, 3, or 4. My big thing is I just don't think we could go back to the multi-stream thing. And I know that solves a lot of problems for people that want like what it used to be, where it's 2-3 day tournament, 16 teams, groups, double elimination. That can't really happen without multiple streams. But I just never liked the concept of having to keep track of multiple streams. Then also the effect of like, I don't know, if Optic went to Bravo, then no one's watching Alpha, or just the fact that if it didn't involve that team, that Bravo would always have 1/100th of the viewerships that Alpha did. Like, I just never really liked that concept, and I don't think that'll ever exist in a franchise setting, because what franchise would pay that much money to be on Bravo and no one watching? So I guess I don't really care as long as it's one stream, everyone in the same spot, watching COD. They want to watch COD. I 2 through 4, I'm good with.
Could be a format thing though, to what you're saying.
Yeah, like format thing, and then
the orgs could necessarily argue that the format is more important, so that's where you would have 2 streams.
Yeah.
I know what you're saying, but it could get to the point where, like, if we go back to like a double elim fully, where you would need 2 streams for sure, they would prioritize that.
And
I guess I'd be surprised if some orgs would be okay with that, but maybe they would.
I guess I'm speaking more like a business perspective for the broadcast too. I wonder, like the streams of past where we had multiple streams, like would that necessarily lead to more viewership if there's more streams, or is it less viewership? You know, because you combine the viewership of both of the streams, and yeah, people are gonna be bouncing back and forth. Like, does it really matter that much?
Well, for a branding or sales standpoint, I don't think it probably matters all that much. But for a specific team,
some teams are gonna get shafted, but like
they're a team that are rarely on Alpha, then
get better.
That sucks. But for a no, you're right. But like they'd have to probably sign off on something like this.
Yeah.
But for like sponsor deals and shit, I don't know that it really matters. You just aggregate it. I mean, what would be nice if we ever get there? And this is a whole different conversation, but you might have seen like Valorant stuff's been doing like the co-streaming, and you know, I would love to have people like Shroud and Jack and whoever streaming these matches and watching it.
Yeah.
But but that all comes down to the exclusivity deal with a YouTube or a Twitch or whoever it is, and how it's been signed off on. And we've never gone that route. Do I think there is a world in the future where everyone is doing that? I do, because individual streamers are bigger than the sports themselves in a lot of ways, like a Nick or a Tim or a Ninja. Like, they're just so fucking big that it's like, I think they're going to need to take advantage of that type of stuff.
Correct me if I'm wrong.
It might be a while.
I think I've seen some people do it on YouTube. People.
Well, that's right. We did it with
Vic and Noah and like a couple other people. I thought.
Vic, done that before.
Yeah, no, you actually, now that you say that, I just thought of that because I remember Jack doing it.
But like that's smart.
I think we should be doing more of that. But obviously, just the fact that we're on YouTube right now kind of tightens that window a little bit, just because the 2 platforms. But there's plenty of huge people on YouTube. But I think that's going to eventually become more the norm. As weird as it is, as hard as it probably makes it for a sales team And I imagine it's very tricky from a league standpoint because you kind of want all the eyes on your brands and your sponsors and everything there in the main funnel. I don't know. I just think we get there eventually. It just seems like that part of it, the individual side's blowing up so much that it's crazy not to.
Yeah, for sure. In terms of like marketing dollars, that's you would think something like that would just go way further. Paying some of these giant influencers. I would love to
what
get
would
involved
you just
too.
have to have like league spot like a kind of how you have like your sponsors kind of cycle? Would you
Yeah.
just have to get like league
Like a
sponsors
specific
to like
one?
co-stream it?
That's usually how like sponsor streams work. Like they want you to run something specific, whether it be an overlay or something like that. I don't know why COD League couldn't just do the same thing, or maybe they want to, and the deal was very specific in that regard. So it has to be like YouTube partner people. But
I imagine how many years was that first deal? It was like 3, 2, something like that. I imagine this will be something that's a bigger conversation when they go to re-up it.
Yeah, I mean this is brand new. This co-stream stuff.
yeah, right.
Brand new.
Yeah, I mean, some have been. I mean, I know on the CS side, I mostly see tweets about it because there's this battle where there's a lot that think it needs to be the norm. There's a lot of tournament operators like at ESL that hadn't really gone that route because they felt it kind of hurts them when you're trying to build your brand, your stream, your
Valorant and
everything
League are
for
the
a
two
league.
biggest ones. I don't know what CS has done.
CS hasn't really done it. And I think that's where
No.
I've seen a lot of tweets, people complaining that they haven't. But like, I guess I get it. I mean, I get both sides of it. It's just new and weird. You probably are gonna have to find ways to make sure it definitely is helping you more than any potential hurt, because there definitely are some, I think, side effects of doing that. But
Yeah, for sure. Like,
it'll be interesting.
depending on who's doing the co-stream, a lot of people might prefer watching from that POV. I like maybe I'm an okay example because like if I'm sitting there watching the matches doing a co-stream, for example, like maybe I take viewers away in theory from the regular stream. So I guess it's like, am I directing enough attention towards COD League to like make that make sense? So
Well,
I don't know.
Well, part of me is torn because I'm a fucking commentator. So like,
Yeah,
there's
right.
part of me. It's like I want anyone watching the match to be listening to my ass. Like
Yeah,
I
of
want to be
course.
directing people through it, and them seeing how we're going through stuff instead of some individuals speaking over stuff and saying fuck knows what anything, and they don't really hear what Joe and I are bringing to the table. Which that kind of rubs me weird sometimes.
Yeah.
But like the fact is, if it's going to bring more eyes, most importantly, I want the league to just grow. So
Yeah, that'd be like an interesting conversation with someone obviously above our level when it comes to things like that. Like, what's the trade-off? Is it worth it money-wise to pay people to do something like that? Interesting topic for sure.
Well, if we ever got let go from, like, let's say the CDL, let Joe and I go
Yeah.
for whatever reason we couldn't come to terms, the first thing I would do is go to a YouTube or a Twitch and be like, fucking pay Joe and I
and just
get rights
yeah,
for us to commentate this
dude,
shit from our bedroom.
seriously.
Because I know people will come and fucking watch, even if
Yeah.
we're not with the league. That's the first
It would
fucking
cause
thing I
it
would
would
do.
cause so much drama, and then people would like support you too.
First thing I would do.
Hey, Crowder.
But-
Hey, Crowder's in chat. Where are you,
Hi,
buddy?
Grace.
Hey, buddy.
Hi.
Hey, are you Crowder? What you doing, buddy? You still got scrims or what? We'd love to have you. Oh man, Crowder looks good over there on the right side though. We got to be honest. Crowder,
He does. He's looking at Maven's bald head.
Crowder,
like,
do you
what is that
approve?
stupid face?
Crowder, do you approve of the picture I threw up for you? I hope you look very handsome.
He always does, man.
But yeah, let us know if you get done and you wanna join up. I miss you, buddy. Back on the topic though, in terms of like the scheduling, I think I like this one better. Right? We talked about like momentum and like being a part of these matches. You said what, like 2 matches per day for the people and losers, right? Is that was a switch?
Yes. I'm pretty sure.
Obviously, if
And
you
maybe
win.
even winners. I would have to look at the schedule exactly, but I believe starting like Saturday, you have multiple matches.
That's cool.
If you're in losers, so it's probably one Thursday, one Friday, and then multiple after that.
And it's like a no-brainer from the player perspective too. Like multiple games, like that's just what you want. You want to play more Call of Duty, right? When you have the opportunity to do 1 match per day, just feels terrible.
Especially momentum-wise.
Yeah,
after
for
winning.
sure.
I mean, another one.
Yeah. Exactly.
Well, it'll avoid any time of someone like playing 2 and then going into someone playing 0, pretty much, right?
Yes.
Okay, which I think we did have previously. Well, that's what happened to Faze on Sunday, correct? Or did they play 1 then?
Well,
they played
no.
2
Winners
then,
final.
right?
Winners finals is still Saturday night. That was the one thing that.
That's the problem you can't fix then. So if you do go to the finals from winners, no matter what you're playing, but now are you playing someone that played 1 or 2 matches?
You could put it on Sunday, but there's 3 matches already on Sunday with a best of 9. So that's probably the biggest problem.
So okay, so there's still that problem though, I guess. Like if you are a ultra and you get to the finals through winners, you'll be maybe playing a team that just play 2 matches.
Potentially, yes.
Yeah.
I think this is just better to. I'm trying to think from like the streamer perspective. Obviously, we've all streamed for a long ass time, right? When do you guys hit your peak viewership in your stream? Couple hours in, right? So
it really depends on who the fuck is live, to be honest with you.
Okay, you're not wrong. Yeah, you're not wrong.
But from the standpoint of something like this, more, yeah, typically it's something that grows.
So like, I'm trying to think those days, the broadcast days where you only have 2 games. How long are you even live to like hit to hold on to the peak viewership? So when you have a 3 or 4 match day, you hit your peak, you're probably able to hold it and improve upon that even more. So I wonder, like, in terms of like viewership per hour or uniques or whatever stat you're looking at, you would think these longer days are better for that, right?
Well, that's why I would always bump heads with the people like on the content side for stuff like Hot Mic and contesting the point back in the day, because they used to always want to tighten up, lower it, make it shorter. And like, I guess I was always thinking about the live element. I'm like, if we're not going live and this is at least an hour, like there's no point in this being a live broadcast. Because like, you can't have a 20-minute live thing. It just
it doesn't work.
People are gonna get there and it's over. But they were just more concerned with the YouTube side, which I do get. You know, you want tighter, contained, more digestible pieces of content on the YouTube side. But like, yeah, I would always just be like, dude, if I'm not, why am I doing this if it's gonna be 20 minutes long? Because I was just thinking about the live element. But
and like, it's a bad argument too, because if even up for the YouTube side of things, you chop it up. You know, even if it's a longer broadcast day, you editor chop up. 10 minutes here, 10 minutes there.
I think the other big thing too for like group stages as well, I'm pretty sure there's COD when we're in stage Monday through Sunday, which I believe is a major part, because I believe there's challengers broadcast Monday and Tuesday.
Got it.
Especially during regular group stage, there is literally Call of Duty live every single day.
That's insane. That's good though. I mean, that's just how it needs to be, especially for how big of a game it is. Okay, so we talked schedule. Obviously, it changed a lot more matches condensed into one less day, which I'm a fan of. Just watching, speaking from the viewer perspective, I like watching more games at a given time. So I like that.
What was the thing they tried to do, real quick, back in Black Ops 3? I think they tried to have it the days that COD were on, literally at any point during a 24-hour period COD was on. It was something like you had the 4 matches in North America, 5 in Europe, and then like 4 in APAC. And literally the day, if you turned it on any day during those 4 days, there was COD on.
That's crazy.
Or something like that. They tried to do it. That was wild, dude. Some of them, I felt so bad for, like, whether it was Bryce or Momo, and dude, they had some days of 5 matches, all delays. It was like 14-hour broadcast days for a year. I was like, brutal. But anyway, that was kind of cool when I tried to do that.
Absolutely insane. All right, let me throw up the group standings once again. We can start breaking down, giving our thoughts on some of the new looks for these teams, and obviously showing their seeds leading into the bracket. We'll show the bracket. We'll give predictions, the usual type of stuff we do on the show, folks. But so stage 3, group standings here. You guys can see since winning the Major 2, Ultra's been cruising. They've been absolutely dominant. Will we say that they had a harder group or easier group compared to Group B? What are your guys' thoughts on that?
At first,
way easier.
At first, I thought they looked pretty balanced. Like the 40 matches were played, I was like, oh, that's pretty good. I think I said the difference for me would be how much Thieves improved versus how Ultra ended up being. Granted, they both ended up being very good, but it wasn't close. I mean, Joe's right. A was a joke compared to B. It's not even close.
I mean, you had a broken Empire. You had a Røkkr who really struggled, and I do want to say this: accuracy. Like he has not been playing well, but he is also fasting throughout the day. He's in Ramadan, so
I didn't know that.
I think that could be a big part of it.
We didn't know we could say that on broadcast. Like, we weren't sure
I wanted to bring it up on broadcast. I didn't talk about it. He's tweeted it. I know it just ended, but every single one of those Group 3 matches, he's basically playing like he's just sitting. I mean, I can only imagine what that was like. I know Asim was too, but I guess I just think accuracy is like a vocal leader for them. I know they had a lot of struggles. I know he really struggled as a main AR. Didn't play like his normal self.
Oh, I get to a point, even just, and I'm not trying to compare this to what he's doing, but like, when you just don't eat and you're streaming a long time and like you just get kind of, I don't know, cranky, or you're just, I don't know, you're not playing well. It just happens
From my
sometimes.
experience,
I'm sure
it's hard to get locked in.
Yeah, I gotta imagine for what he's doing, it's gotta have some impact. And I've never done that, so I don't know how much, but it's certainly a factor, I think. Yeah.
Yeah,
I mean, I
100%
worked with
both of them.
Rami. I mean, he was my manager at League Ops and LNG, and he celebrated it. And I'll just be honest. I mean, he was a completely different person, without a doubt. I mean, completely different.
Yeah.
Just low energy. Got through his day. But yeah. So Røkkr struggled a little bit. That was another team compared to Major 2, what we expected. Florida, you just never knew. There was just with some of the team changes. Yeah, that group kind of they took care of business, which is fine. But
Would they drop like one map or two?
a couple
wasn't
of
a lot.
maps will.
Couple? Something crazy.
Paris really didn't get much better with the team change. There was a lot of things that we thought could potentially happen and didn't.
Yeah.
With the way Dallas and Røkkr looked.
Yeah. Let's just give brief thoughts on Group B, and then I have like the breaking point site, and we can just kind of go down the list in terms of roster changes and things like that. So yeah, you guys kind of broke down Group A. Seemed to be easier for sure compared to the stacked Group B. In Group B, we have New York going 4-1, locking down the first seed. Faze 4-1, Thieves 3-2, Optic Chicago not really having a good group stage right there. Looking at 2-3, fourth seed going into the major. Royal Ravens 2-3, and then Surge still. Obviously, they made a change as well, but not in the best spot going into the major. Could be starting loser right there. So yeah, lots of changes, right? We haven't really given our thoughts on a lot of these so far. So on breakingpoint.gg, if you guys want to read some of these articles, get caught up with news and things like that, I'm gonna throw it up here and just scroll. Lots of stuff happened. Obviously, Huke, he's on Thieves now. Crazy. Decimate to Surge. Hydra, obviously doing some work for New York. Vivid no longer playing for LAG. Chino coming in. Silly moving to the SMG. Lots of stuff. Lots of movement throughout. We can talk about how Empire has looked, obviously. Huke got benched. Fellow coming in. And
Let's go one by one. What do you want to start with?
We could just go based on the group list like we talked if you want.
Toronto.
Just start with Toronto and then start talking about
just do the teams? Okay, yeah. Let's just go team by team. I think there's something to talk about with every fucking team.
For sure.
I think Joe said it the best for Ultra. They handle business. I think if they would have struggled through that group a little bit, they maybe got a little bit worried just based on how that group is. They just didn't look very good. But Ultra, I mean, I know they had some tight maps for 100%. They had to clutch up sometimes, but the fact is,
so their two like first matches, Florida and Empire, like they should have lost a couple of maps, but they
didn't. But I think that's important because that was one of the biggest things we said for them. The difference between stage 1 and 2, you know, when they would collapse in those moments so much in stage 1 and we would just roast them constantly for how many maps in a row, it felt like they couldn't close out. Now they're the team that closes, which I think is it on a long list of good factors about a team. Yeah, but it's important, I think, just to see the difference between stage 1 and stage 2. And now in stage 3, they're still doing it, but they're still the team to beat. I mean, I don't know if that's someone to pick to win the event. We'll get into that later, but it'd be hard to argue that team to beat. They go 5-0. They drop a couple of maps. They didn't drop off at all. And I think I thought that maybe people will disagree with me. I thought there'd be some drop off from the major because they hit a form that was so nutty. I thought there would at least be
that too.
Some drop off. Not at all.
They kept their foot on the gas, and that's like, I feel like it's pretty hard to do in the league right now to look that dominant throughout that many matches. Like for the amount of inconsistencies that we see in these matches, we're still playing online, obviously, right? I feel like the fact that they've remained this dominant and like they made it a point, right? In these matches, they're sticking to their guns. They're not messing around whatsoever. We see so many times throughout where a team will wake up on a given day and they're like, this team just looks a little bit off today. How much weight do we put on that? You just didn't see it at all. So that's super impressive. They kept momentum, and we all know how important momentum is and confidence is. And when you have your unit playing like this, you have someone like Insight, you know, he's a potential MVP at this point, right? Like he's in the nomination. And then you have the SMG speed, confidence, and unison. When you talk about the teams that are at the top part of the CDL right now, and you watch their gameplay, you watch the minimap, they're in sync. They're fast. They make people react. and you see the teams that are struggling all of a sudden, they look unorganized, they look slow. It looks like they're not the ones ever pressuring a situation. So the fact that Ultra have been so consistent, playing a super fast style like that, they're looking damn good. I mean, obviously a favorite going in.
I just think it shows you how important when you win, how far confidence can go.
Yeah.
I mean, this game is a game of milliseconds. You make a wrong decision, you second guess yourself, you lose. It's just the way it is. I think we saw that from Toronto the first couple of stages. You're just not seeing that anymore. But I think looking at this stage, they stayed strong in search and control, which was huge for them. They were almost perfect at the major two. That was how they beat Faze. They go 10-0 in those two game modes throughout stage 3. They play some different maps on Hardpoint. They had some different maps in search. Um, map pool wise, they looked like a lot better on Checkmate Search. For example, they played some Miami. Like, they're doing things that they need to do to prep themselves for this major. But they looked like themselves.
That was going to be the next thing I was going to bring up. Is I think Joe and I were casting it. Like, we've talked about Faze a lot, and how at times over the last two stages they had the luxury of being ahead, and they got to play a lot. Well, actually, all three they've kind of done it. They've had the luxury of playing maps they're not great at or don't have a lot of reps on, trying to widen that map pool. And where Faze, we would say, see play like an APOC or an Express, and we kept seeing them, lose a lot, trying to get better at that within the matches. Toronto, when Joe and I cast, I think they played it was like an APOC for the first time, and then it was a Checkmate Search that they were 0-2 were on, or something like that. Like, they weren't very good on. It was like a 6-0 search and a fucking 250 to 100 thrashing on the hard point. I don't remember what it was exactly, but Joe and I were like, fuck. Because if they are getting good at other maps they're not playing, usually, that's insane. And what I felt so impressive, I can't remember who they played. It might not have been the toughest matchup based on how this fucking group is, but still, I feel like anytime we saw Faze do that, it was a battle and they were trying to get better. Ultras came out and shit on people. So we'll see. If that map pool is wider for this event, I don't know who's beating it, man. I don't know.
You talk about map pools too, right? And obviously when you're in the driver's seat, when you have matches to work with, when you go into a match, let's say an Ultra versus Paris, right? Those are the matches where you have some leeway and you can switch up the vetoes a little bit. How much weight? This is just like a open-ended question. Feel free to take it up, but compared to scrims, is a rep in a match like that more worthwhile than a scrim versus a better team on a specific map? You guys get what I'm trying to say?
What's the stat for Faze, Joe? Because this tells a story.
I mean, I don't know. Basically,
wait, are we allowed to say this? I mean, it should be a big deal.
Yeah, go for it. Sure.
I think Faze is something like. And sorry, Chris, this pissed you off, but based on scrims,
don't say it. Don't say it.
Okay. Never mind.
That's what I figured.
Okay.
Yeah, I would say the reps are different.
I wouldn't think that would be a big. I wouldn't think that'd be a big deal at all.
Crowder's here moderating our. Crowder's not even here. He's like, Baldy, shut up.
I would just say that within matches, I think in matches you're doing your best to win that map, and that's not always the case in scrims versus even really good teams. You're just trying new things out. In matches, you know how certain teams like to play the map. You know their tendencies. In your mind, even a break a hill, it's boom. We know that Insight likes to go here, right? We know that this guy likes to go here. And you're kind of prepping almost for their own style. They do have their own style, even on respawns. I know everyone tries to mimic sort of a respawn style, but you still have tendencies on those maps. So I would say so, because you're always trying to win match maps. That's not the case within scrims. You're trying new things. Could be trying new setups, whatever that may be. But when you see them in matches, you're seeing what they like to do.
Yeah, I feel you. And when you're playing a team that needs wins, I guess it is a better rep, right? Because these guys are going to be playing as hard as possible to try and work their way back up in the standings, stuff like that. But you guys get what I'm trying to say, right? Or is it a sort of thing, right? When you look at how the management attacks vetoes, are you just trying to get match data on other maps just to throw people off potentially too?
Oh yeah.
So when you go
I'm
into,
sure it's some mind games.
Yeah. So match data holds more weight than scrim data. I'll say that. I was a coach for a while. Scrims are definitely different. You described that well, Joe. So like when you go into a veto process and you're a really good team and you're 5-1, 4-0, 3-0, 2-1, it can make some of the other teams second guess their choices a little bit more too when they have more match data to go off of. So is it a strategic thing? Are they just trying to get more reps? I wonder what the main thought process is for a team like Ultra.
I think it's got to be like I just still think you have like 3 tiers of effort for teams, and they can say they're trying their hardest in scrims, but the fact is, no, they're not.
No,
most teams are not.
No
you
shot.
You have like your tier 3 scrim attitude, your league match attitude, and then a major attitude. Like they're different.
I would throw another tier in there, if you don't mind me stepping in here.
No, go ahead.
There is another tier of when you're scrimming another good team.
Okay.
Like that is another tier.
That's more like league match tier, maybe. Like you bump it up sort of a little.
Yeah, because you're trying to get under their skin. You're trying to. Okay. It's a mind game. Like when you're playing, like I'm sure when Atlanta is playing against Toronto in scrims or whatever, like they're going 110. That's where they're trying to peak. Like,
and on that same tier, it's a matter of let's beat these guys into the ground every time we scrim. So when you meet up in a match, you have the mental advantage. Or another approach, you scrim a team once and you get the idea like this other team doesn't have the right idea. Let's not play them that much anymore.
Mm-hmm.
That's kind of what the top tier. I wonder if it's still like that. Obviously, I've been kind of removed for a little while too. So obviously, I don't think Crowder would probably give input on that because like every team's probably different. It depends on the players, right? Some players think a certain way about that type of stuff of like, they don't want to teach when they're ahead or things like that. And it just depends. But so Crowder's in the chat. He says, if you don't try and scrims, you're an effing idiot. It's not hard. You're not wrong.
Yeah, but he knows that there's teams that don't. So
he in a perfect world, he is correct.
Yes. It just doesn't happen.
But there's teams that waste your time. So you don't try to scrim them as much as possible. There's teams they're just not. I don't know. Just kind of waste time. They aren't good.
And that's about the culture too.
That's it.
I don't think there's no way all the teams have the culture to get good practice all the time. I don't know. I don't know what it comes down to. Is it the players on the team? Is it the management not having enough, I don't know, power to or respect? It could be so many different things.
But listen, I'm not an expert. I'm not a coach, but the way I've viewed it, the reason I'll talk about their match record and league matches, because that's the only fucking thing I care about. I care about how they perform the actual match. I don't care what they've done in scrims, personally. Like, I know that'll matter to the coaches. I get that.
We got Slasher in here too, and he's like, I realize, trying and practice is important. Who would have thought? But some people try, right? But some people try and make the whole fucking team better, and that's the point that I'm getting at. There's a lot of just like, I don't want to say selfish, but kind of like teams that are really good, from my experience, hold everyone else accountable. And it's not like a 1 or 2 person show leading the pack in terms of comms and getting that energy going for everyone else. If the whole team is bought into the system and bought into practice every single day, that's where you reach the next fucking level as a group. So like speaking from experience too, I'm sure there's still a lot of rosters in the league that don't have that haven't bought into the culture completely and understand like what it takes at the super top level. So like a lot of what we're saying is like pretty obvious, right? But I'm talking like to get to that elite tier consistently. And I just know some of the personalities in the league still, they don't fucking got it up here, bro. You got to have a strong ass mental state. And especially you combine that with how long are we going on online play now? A year and a half. That shit sucks. Online gameplay sucks. We see people not in the league now that probably should still be in the league because of the shift, right? So like that's the type of stuff I'm talking about. Like, and that's where the question is like, who does that fall onto? Is it the players? Is it the staff? It's a combination. It's just a weird situation.
Well, then you just really have to dissect it. Like when you're breaking down if a coach, you're picking maps.
I personally think it's a player thing. I think it's a player thing, personally.
Go ahead, Joe.
I was just saying I think too, like old tendencies, like old mindsets where they've found success and they don't want to adapt. I mean, this league is too close. You have to have good practice. You aren't working on things or fixing things or having VOD sessions or having VOD sessions over maps you suck at, you are going to not win. That's just it. Like there there's more to this league now with how close it is. You have to almost be perfect.
You gotta help each other too.
You have to know now, like you have to know every single situation, how you want to play that situation, and execute. Now, the execution isn't always going to be there. You're going to have bad maps, but when you're watching teams and you're just like, well, that teamwork was horrible, that just shouldn't be a thing. It is lazy old habits, and that is why some teams just aren't going to win. Because if they are not prepping at the level of some of these other teams, then it won't matter.
And I guess it's like it's a self-reflection as a team, right? If you're in scrims, like who's okay with the same bad thing happening? Are people speaking up like mid-scrim? You see some bullshit you don't like, dude, you gotta stop doing that. Or dude, we gotta coordinate this push better. Or dude, call out what you're doing. Or dude, wait on me while I come and pre-aim over you when you hit something. Is that happening every single time you scrim? No shot it's happening with all these teams, with some of the gameplay we see in matches. I'll be the one to say it. Some teams still look like a mess sometimes, bro. So it's just like, I'm interested to see, and this kind of speaks to the point to where you can make a roster change all you want, right? But what's the fucking culture? That's the type of stuff.
What do people always talk about with roster changes is honeymoon periods, and why is that? It's because when you add a new player, the practice efficiency when you're adding a new player is probably up almost another 100% compared to how you were with your old team. That's just what it is.
Yeah, that's the honeymoon, exactly.
Mm-hmm.
So we talked Ultra. They're doing great, dude, and that's kind of where this stemmed from. We feel like that's probably a team they're riding. They're in a really good mental spot as a team. They're feeling super confident. They're getting some reps in on other maps. And what are other teams doing? What are other teams in the league doing to step up and take it back? You talk about a team like Faze, they still look really good. You look at a team like New York, they're probably looking like one of the favorites too going into the major. But as we talk about some of these other teams, like keep this topic in your mind of when you watch some of these teams play, you stare at the minimap, what the differences are. And like you look at like the personalities on the team too. Like just swapping in one guy change your overall team's culture and holding people accountable. Sometimes it does. Sometimes it doesn't. I don't know. That's my point anyway. So we talked Ultra. They're looking great. They're going in with the number 1 seed, obviously, for Group A. We're going to move on to Florida now.
Florida?
Yeah.
Joe and I got to cast them recently, just the other day. And in a lot of ways, I still feel the way I did about this team for a long time, in the sense of, you don't have like a go-to mode, but you could beat anyone on any given day 100%. But we got to like really watch them a little bit. And one of the stats we noticed was, for their search and destroy, they were like way better offensively than defensively, similar to like a Faze. And we were kind of watching it. And it's just interesting. Some of the teams, like it's like when they're on offense, you can sort of dictate the pace, where the gunfights are going to be. You force the action, right? And they're like really good at doing that. But when they're on defense, I think Joe kind of said like it's just a team that wants to take gunfights, kind of like Faze. Like they want to get in fights, so it's like they almost get antsy when things slow down, and they like force the issue in spots they don't need to. And I guess the reason I'm focusing on search is I really do think with Havoc in the mix now, that might be able to be kind of their game mode. And then if they are like above 50% hardpoint team, they've got a chance to really do some shit. But it was just funny to watch the search because we brought up the stat for like the keys to victory, then we really watched it over the course of the search. Like, what are they doing? And yeah, I don't know, antsy, lack of patience, whatever you want to call it. It just feels like they're pretty close to being good search team. Like they're getting a lot of first bloods. We talked about the awakening stats all year. Havoc was making crazy plays. Maybe that's where it comes from. If they become a really good search team, maybe they can make a run.
So, yeah, I mean, they go 4-2 in search throughout stage 3. They look better at that. I think that's where Havoc makes an immediate impact. They get like a true entry guy who's can kind of lead them. Some of the maps we were watching him, he was not like leaving them up to dry, but he was kind of setting up plays for himself, which is totally okay.
Express, it felt like I think it was. Express,
well, and in Moscow a couple of times where I was like, you could obviously see the way they were setting up this play was for Havoc, which is totally fine. Just I don't think they really had anyone to kind of do that, but they look good at times. But then you still have like the loss to Paris. They got 3-0'd by Ultra.
Yeah.
My worry is, I just think this league right now is really ran by subs. Sub duos are setting a pace, and it's just a question of can Havoc and Neptune bring it against the best teams in the game. That's where it'll kind of come down to for me. The Sky's an awakening. Like they're always going to play well. Well, not all the time, but Skies has been kind of back and forth, but I just think like they need their sub duo to really pop off in respawns.
Yeah, I have a question for you, TeeP. I asked this to Joe because we were wondering about Skies. Because Skies, since he came in Black Ops 4, right? When he first was like in the league, and pretty much from three. Wait, no, 3 is when I played. When Jack and I played with him, he was like 15. So I'm pretty sure it was Black Ops 4, right?
No, 3 because he joined Envy.
Wait, am I mixing the years together?
Yeah,
3 is when I played wagers with him. I thought he was like.
Are we talking?
God,
are we
yeah,
talking?
you're right.
We're talking Skies, right?
Skies. Was it 3?
Skies. I
Yeah.
think you said Havoc. You said Havoc.
I'm sorry. I'm going to say Skies.
Oh, okay, that makes sense.
Yeah, I was going to say 3 is when I was playing wager. I think he was 15 years old. Okay,
yeah.
4. Okay, dude, you have me all turned around.
Yeah, I was
there.
confused too. Anyways,
Sorry.
I swore you said Havoc.
I think you said Skies. Anyways.
Okay. Well, anyway, for Skies, since when he entered Black Ops 4 and MW, he was like pretty much like a lock for like an average like 1.2. Like he was very, very consistent.
He was that guy.
And I've just been wondering. This is what I asked Joe. Is like if it comes down to in those games, we talk about skill and like the skill gap. When the movement is crazier, and maybe the time to kill is a little bit longer, whatever it is, you can outskill people far more based on just your own movement and personal playmaking ability. I think in Black Ops 4 and even in NW, someone like Skies could quite literally just shit on people with movement and shot. It is a lot more difficult in this game where the skill gap, yes, there's still sliding, but it's still far more teamwork and positioning. I think we'd agree. Just based on being 4v4 and boots, the skill gap's kind of different. I don't think you can just.
Black Ops 4, though, is the only one where I kind of get a question because he did run ICR. And like ICR, you were literally just a turret. Like
you could.
I know he ran Maddox, but
with the movement, the finesse, and the healing, like you could pull shit off in that game.
I agree,
you cannot pull off in this. I'm just wondering if it's just a little harder for him to display like what a freak he is because it's just more post up, be in the right spots, and if they're not playing the right way, a lot of people. Yeah, 100%. But I wondered if that's just it for him. Like it's just some games when he's playing well, it's probably when like the team's playing well and he's in the right spots.
Here's how
he can't get bailed out by talent as much, like you could in previous titles. At least that's what I think it is.
And that's, I don't know if we're talking stats or just like a play style type of thing. That's when, especially moving to 4v4, you need to know, especially as an AR in this game, what like how often is he solo challing? How often is he playing with the team enough at times? That's what it kind of comes out. So you described like what he's able to do in a 5v5 environment with crack movement with stims. You're always able to keep your life, like value your life more because it's easier to, right? So like in something like this, you need to know when it's time to chow with somebody. You need to know maybe he's just like playing a little bit too fast at times. Maybe he's playing a little bit too slow at times, especially like an AR. It's just kind of tough though. Like the way the Krig is in this game, maybe it's just a matter of like maybe it's not enough kills going around to him because Wake's popping off usually so damn much too. So maybe he's just like does find himself a little bit lost on the map at times. But
go ahead. Yeah, I guess I was just wondering more. I didn't even get to the final part where I wanted to kind of ask you.
What's your question?
More like is it more 4v4? Or is it more just the change in like what the skill gap is that might be hurting him sometimes? And I don't know. Maybe it's just both.
Probably both. Yeah. I watch Krig players in matches sometimes, and sometimes it just looks awkward. You know? Sometimes like they get caught in the middle, is I guess the easiest way to explain it. And that's where the XM4 meta like changed a lot of the dynamic of the gameplay, right? Skies is someone that you would probably, like, so I guess maybe it's they've had to switch the play style. And when you get caught in the middle, sometimes maybe he's just not super comfortable in all scenarios. Does that make sense? That's kind of my thought.
Oh,
good. I mean, their subs are struggling. I mean, we saw like the X Factor stats, which he like has some ridiculous ones. So basically, when they're winning, he's popping off. When they're losing, he's not. But I didn't really look at like his teammates. It could be when his subs are having a really good game. So is he. Could be it. I mean, they struggled pretty hard with Slacked,
right?
Especially in respawns. So maybe that was just it.
Could be just a little bit of everything we're discussing. It's just. Yeah. I guess the reason I always think I go to the skill thing sometimes with him is just because I remember playing Black Ops 3 wagers with him. He was 15, and he was one of the most raw, talented people I'd ever seen. Some of the shit he did on the map blew my fucking mind. And I guess it's just I don't know. It's hard to kind of display that here. It's not jetpacks, obviously, but this game is more just get in the right
It
spot,
is harder.
get in the right spots, and hit your fucking spots. Like that. That's what it is.
Yeah.
Correct.
So we'll see. It's just I don't know. I like Skies a lot. I think he's a great talent, and I just like Skies a lot. I want to see him succeed. And it's been weird seeing him be a little more up and down than maybe I'm used to.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, he was like that guy for a while. So
he was entering like that, like Octane territory, where like you just knew he was getting a 1.2 every respawn. Like there was a stretch there where he was just a lock. He was. Not as much this year, but still, I'm excited for Mutineers. I don't know. I just seems like something clicks a little bit, and like Search or Hardpoint, and they are really a team.
Talking about like
the
change a little bit, Havoc just like gives him like a bit more of a spark. You know what I mean? He's more of like a, if you compare the change, he's just more of like a not give a fuck if he dies type. Like you need someone that's just gonna YOLO and hit timings and coin flip an S&D round every once in a while and like make people worry about the flank a lot more. Like he's just one of those guys where
it helps Neptune a lot too. He played a lot better throughout this stage. So I'm sure it's helped him.
100%. Yeah.
And his comms, I think, looking back to, I think he took a lot of flack for teamwork and comms for years. And then we really noticed last year, I think, he was taking over a central role in the comms. And the one listen and Joe and I went to, he was right back to it. I mean, his comms were great. At times, it felt like he was directing the comms. So that might be really helpful. I'm not saying like Slack couldn't do a lot of what you're saying, like be the entry guy, not give a shit about his stat line and communicate. But like, I think from just a vibe standpoint, maybe positivity standpoint, like Havoc might be a little bit better there. Like, you know how Slack is. Like he can get real frustrated and be vocal. I just wonder if maybe it kind of helps their team chemistry a bit.
I'm just saying, like, it's something simple like that too. Like Slack versus Havoc, who's gonna set up like a late flank and S&D more? It's a pretty easy answer, right? It's just like it's a tendency thing, right? Like, how often is Slack gonna step up at S&D round and be like, "Yo, you guys do this. I'm gonna lurk and play like a rat for like a weird amount of time and just randomly hit a timing." I don't know.
If Slack made any call on search and destroy, I would ignore it and do the opposite. And
okay,
then move on.
You're annoying. You're annoying.
He's just been on some poor S&D teams.
It's just like a tendency thing, right? Yeah. All right. So Florida's looking pretty good. I mean, they're coming in with the second seed. There's just such a coin flip. You guys kind of described that already. Like, it's not surprising when they
consistency from them.
Yeah. And is it going to be enough in all modes versus like the top seeded teams? I just don't think we've seen enough from them yet. Maybe if they come out and win like a really big series, it'll help their confidence a lot. Maybe they can find, momentum on a particular map that they might be like a second or third favorite right now.
Just like okay and everything.
Yeah.
Like there's nothing. I feel like every team that's like won or been a top squad has had at least been like really good at search or hardpoint, and then like usually control's good. Like you have two of the three, right? Like they just have nothing.
Right. But I don't think it'd be like a huge surprise for them to win a big series versus one of these top teams.
No. Oh, agreed.
Yeah.
That's how it felt since.
That's why they're scary. I guess it kind of felt similar sometimes throughout the last season too. Like the tournaments that they won, did we really expect it? I don't know. It could be a similar situation here.
Yep, for sure.
Let's talk Dallas.
It'd be like a dark horse or something for me, for sure. Yeah.
Let's talk Dallas. This is interesting one, juicy. So throughout the stage, when exactly did it happen? Do you guys remember off the top of your head? Of
after first match?
Yeah,
was it right after the first match? Yeah.
First match. So Paris. Yeah.
So super unexpected. Huke gets benched, and everyone's just like, myself included, like, wait, what? Like, what? What the hell happened? And you talk about how Dallas had been doing so far throughout the season, and like, it's weird. What did they see?
Very weird.
And to me, it just seems like a Crim 6 call. Absolutely. Because it was.
But that's where I struggle. If it was, I think we all agree it probably was that. But like, if you are, there had to be more to it, because if I was Hastro or any logical human being on the planet.
Stro doesn't have it. He took a back seat.
Yeah. If it came down to Huke or Crim for me for the future of my franchise, at this point in their careers, I'm going fucking Huke. So that's why I think like it had to be the other guys too. And like, I don't know. I mean, we don't know what happened, but like it couldn't have just been Crim. There's no fucking way.
It's just
No
weird
fucking
because
It was a
way.
team
they got
decision, right?
second
But
and then third.
Yeah.
They got second and third, and then they benched him, which fine. If you want to bench him and maybe like that riles him up, and then you bring him back and it motivates him, cool. It just happened so fast.
yes.
And he goes to a
I
big,
mean,
big team.
Yeah, they gave him to a rival. This was a kid that was literally in the organization for over 4 years. Won them a world championship. And now there's the other way to look at it. It's the way of he's won
paid
us a
his
world
dues.
championship. Yeah, he's won us a world. You see it in sports all the time. You know, the guy that, was drafted to a small, small market team, gets in the playoffs a couple of times, gets him on runs, but he's at about that age where he wants to go and just experience something else and has a shot to win majors or whatever it is. Like,
I
I
think
don't
it's cool
know.
they let him go. Like, I think
I
it's
think
cool.
so too.
Yeah, it's just
but-
surprising.
I mean, it's insane because they literally built teams, and it's not like, okay, so he gets the World War II team. Fine. That breaks. After that, though, I don't think he had much to work with. Like, you look at the rest of World War II, you look at Black Ops 4, then finally in MW, he gets a really good team. That was his first, really, really solid team, right? Was
Yeah.
an MW.
Well, yeah, I mean that World War II team, that first one on a different title, they were probably nuts.
Yeah, they
but-
should have
Well,
been
that's what I
better.
said. That's what I
Yeah,
said,
yeah,
though.
yeah.
Like, he got
Yeah.
to build his team, and then
Yeah.
he didn't.
Yeah.
Management stepped in a little bit more. And I don't know, dude. It just happened so quick. Like, so quick.
Yeah, I think you're right that maybe we're viewing this the wrong way. I guess I'm surprised that it happened considering all that stuff, and maybe all that stuff is why it finally did happen. Like the 4 years, he's paid his dues. We know maybe he wanted out at one point, and maybe he was just ready to move on. I just don't think that's it, based on like tweets and stuff and how it seems that was the case. But regardless, it is surprising to see a franchise type MVP caliber player get benched. It's then also really surprising to see them go to a quote unquote rival a week later. And we'll talk
forgot
more
about
about
the Black
100
Ops 4
Thieves,
thing.
what it means for him. But what were you gonna say?
I forgot he was on loan to Splice at the end of Black Ops 4. He had that good team for a couple of months. I guess I was just saying,
yeah.
like, it's not like Huke's always been on, like, the best teams. Like, he's stuck with the organization. I'm sure he got paid. Like, this was Hash for Star to build off of.
I was just shocked
And-
too. It seemed like a move
Crazy.
where you read the first part of the announcement. You saw that, right? And I was like, "Ooh, what's gonna happen? Like, what's next?" And there wasn't anything. Did you guys feel the same way? Like, oh, like they're making crazy moves right now.
Well, in the sense of, I think we were all surprised it was Fellow, and not
That's what I mean.
Not to knock Fellow. I mean, I think Fellow has been
Great
a terrific
player,
player.
but-
He has won some major tournaments. And I'm really happy for Fellow because I just like genuinely like Fellow as a player. But it is when you just narrow it and tighten it down to Huke for Fellow. We're talking about one of the best players in the world, so a
Different
guy that
caliber.
wasn't in the league for 2 years. I mean, it is very tough to compare them there. Now, if this does pay off, and it could, we could be having this conversation 2 months from now, and they finally hit form before champs, and it all paid off. There is a chance of that. Don't get me wrong. It's tough right now based on how they've been looking to, I guess, wrap your head around it. Because I think all the other roster changes, like even with Methods or Major Maniac, where maybe if you didn't agree with them or you thought they were odd at the time, you could understand if it was a coaching decision or some stuff we didn't see, and you could see maybe they get better. You kind of see that right away. Like you see Insight come in, you're like, oh, okay. You see Prieston move spots. You saw Standy play once, you're like, holy fuck, all right. Like you kind of got it like real quick. This one's still like a
Okay, and then you talk like the
All
role,
right.
and then you talk about the roles, right? So Fellow comes in, he's running an AR. So we're like, okay, so what? Like Illy seems to be so far and has been the one kind of underperforming, and so
the last series.
yeah, right. But like the shift from Illy to SMG and then Fellow coming in as an AR, that also made it weird for me too, because Huke wasn't really struggling as a sub. You know what I mean? So that's just like that created like a different dynamic in terms of like why this happened. And from our POV, just watching, everyone's like, "Wow, that happened so fast." But maybe it wasn't like that. Maybe this is something like
It's been brewing for a while,
Yeah.
probably. But it's still like, as Joe said, like even not just this year, like having a ridiculous sub duo is one of the single most important things in Call of Duty history.
Yes.
Any fucking title. To have Shotzzy and Huke and let that go and not work through whatever the fuck was going on.
Well, and what are Illy and Shotzzy doing here? They were like the trio. So like, what's happening here?
That's what
I
I'm
don't know.
saying.
Maybe
Who took
Illy and
over?
Shotzzy will be that crazy duo, but like
that was the trio though.
Yeah,
like, I would have built. I have no idea. Not a clue.
So it's a matter of like one of those guys flipped, right? In terms of like the loyalty, or
I guess,
it's like management steps in. If it's like a Rambo, something like that, and it's just like, this is what's happening, and then just that, like, what's the dynamic? It's crazy to even think about.
Fuck this. I'm the franchise guy.
Yeah,
Get that big ass paycheck for Huke out of here.
That's what I'm
my time
saying.
to shine. I don't know. I don't think that's what happened, but like that's what needs to be the case now. Like Shotzzy is your guy.
That guy.
Shotzzy needs to be one of the best players in the league. He is the face of your franchise for the next decade. Type one, and who knows what'll happen. You know what I mean? Like he is your guy now, and he was the overall MVP last year. We know he can do it, but like without Huke there now, you better fucking do it because you literally have to.
Anyways, talking about the change, like we see some gameplay so far, and like right away, we saw they just didn't have that oomph, the one we see from the teams that like are very easily able to handle some of these matches in the CDL. Then they get some reps under, and then the last match that we saw, you kind of brought it up already. Like Illy looked pretty damn good on a sub, so like,
yeah,
he's obviously is going to need time. Like Fellow's coming in a somewhat comfortable situation because he's not changing his role. Illy has had to dramatically change his style over to an SMG, and I maybe dramatically is the wrong, like you're still gunning, right? You're still kind of playing the same sort of game, but using a different weapon is difficult, is my point, especially in a league like this, like those little tendencies, those timings, things like that. So like, I guess it just speaks to the trust that the rest of the roster and management has in Illy, right? That's got to speak for something.
And I guess like, I mean, to me, this is what we've kind of talked about of this. The system has to work. The team system has to work. Showing you have to practice every day and prepping and doing all the little things. They have to be there for this team. And maybe that was another big part of it. Maybe they had arguments of the ways they wanted to play in this and that. The best way for them to get to how they wanted to play. I mean, their last match, they did look a lot cleaner. And Illy did look better. But, I mean, that's the only thing that really makes sense to me. I mean, Fellow is not on this team to be a superstar. Fellow is on this team to do his job. He's running his role. He's had around a 1.0, perfectly fine. You're getting Illy shots in. To me, like the next one up is Crim. Like you have to get more out of Crim with this roster change. He needs to be.
We need more dominant maps. Exactly.
Yes, you need to see him taking over games as an AR, like we have on some of your other rosters, like your Insights and selling Arctities. Like that's what we have on these teams.
Well, to your point, in the middle of that, like, I guess if there was a year where you were going to choose someone making the correct play and being better in practice over freak talent, I mean, this might be the year you do it, based on the type of title we're playing. But I guess I just still struggle with it because I just never think about like this year. I'm thinking like the next 5. Like, what if we go back to jetpacks? What if we go to this? Like, you have one of the most versatile players in the world that can be good at any title. Is where I struggle with it. But if you just narrow it down to this year, which I just struggle to do sometimes, then yeah, why not? It can work out. I don't know if the team that wins champs at the end of the year is going to be the team that is necessarily the most talented. I mean, a team most prep, that's the most spot on with their vetoes and playing the most organized Call of Duty at the end of the year. Probably who's winning. We'll see.
And the worry now is like, this major is going to be probably not enough time to see the true form of the new Dallas Empire, right? So like, how much weight do you put in this one? If they come out and get a repeat like top placing, let's say top 3, for example, that's a W. I think that shows promise because this is still really new. Illy hasn't had a lot of time. Fellows coming into, obviously different situation playing in the CDL in general, and then it's something to build off of. But if they come into this major, they get like 6th, and then it's like more question marks, which means less confidence in the roster as a whole from the community and maybe within, even though everyone's going to say they're nasty, they're frying, they're grinding, and we look great. Like, cool, awesome. One team Like a couple teams get top placements and the rest don't matter that much. I'll be like, it is what it is. So let's say they get 6th again. You go into the next groups. You maybe go 50-50 in your matches again. Like, is that enough? Is that enough of a risk compared to what you had going on before? Like, yeah, maybe you're playing wrong. Maybe your practice isn't looking good. But like, at the end of the day, your talent's carrying you so far. And that's sort of the conversation and what a lot of people in the community have been talking about. Like, is the risk going to pay off? Because that's what this is, in my opinion.
Maybe this isn't the end game though. Like,
yeah,
maybe they're just kind of waiting patiently,
or there's something else.
Like they could have their eyes on somebody.
That's what I originally thought. Maybe they were trying to work out a deal and
it fell through.
Maybe it's just taking more time.
Yeah,
I don't know.
Why would you sell a star contract?
Why, like,
for money?
You open up some cap space.
Maybe there's someone they have their eyes on.
Total speculation here. I don't know any of the details. I'm not involved with Empire at all. But they got a bag for Huke. They had to have, dude.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
So we were hearing rumors about his buyout like ages ago. And it was
like,
insane.
Let me take this giant duffel bag of money and free agents, or what do we do? What do we do here?
Drop Crim, pick up Slasher, get back to land. I'm saying, but I knew you said he was in the chat. Real quick though, when does it flip, Joe? Like if they lose the Faze, where do they drop? To probably end up playing Optic or Røkkr? Does it flip then? I never understand brackets.
Let me just look at the last one. Hold on.
I was just curious because TeeP said top 6, and like that might very well be the case because they play Faze first.
Yep.
And then depending on where they drop, they're likely playing Optic or Røkkr, assuming they'd have to win a match.
Slash is baiting.
Is he in there? Yeah.
You gotta think.
New York law. So they flipped right away.
Okay. So
no, it did not. It did not flip. It did not.
And they'd be on the Optic side.
No, it did not flip.
Yeah. So they're top on winners. So they'd stay top on losers. You're saying?
Yes.
Okay. So then it's what Gorillas play Surge. Whoever wins that plays Optic. Optic probably beats that team, I would think. So it's probably it's gonna go Empire Faze then Empire Optic. Now they could come out and beat Faze. I'm just saying more than likely that is how it's going to go. And that, yeah, I mean you could be looking at top 6. I mean, with Faze being the top 2 team entering, I don't know where to put Optic right now, but I'd still probably take Optic over Empire even with all their problems, which we'll talk about more later. But yeah,
would you right now? Ugh. I don't know.
Well, fuck. Actually,
that's a whole other topic too. Yeah, that's brutal too. Would you?
Well, I don't know. Yeah, I guess
would you bet on it?
Matchup.
All right, so I think that's enough on Empire. Obviously, a lot of speculation, right? We're all just like, to me, just to hammer the point home, it just seemed like I was waiting for the next part of the plan, or maybe this was the plan the whole time. I don't know.
Yeah, I don't think any of us want to disrespect Fellow because I like really.
He's
really
been playing
good.
And
I want this to work out. And he has been playing well, but it's just
I mean, we're talking about a superstar of the league. A Fellow gets it. He's not a dumbass. It was a top 5, top 10 player in this league. It's a player you would build a franchise off of, and they have built off of. And that was
I just don't want anyone to think they're like trying to.
The way I want to phrase it is, it's a hell of an opportunity for someone like Fellow, who's been sort of on the fringe for a while, right? Obviously, an extremely good player. If he can come in and create like a significant impact and get them, have superstar performances in particular maps and get a good placement, like Fellow it's a big moment for him to solidify himself back in the league. That's the way I want to phrase it. Like, it's just weird based on where they were at in the ecosystem for CDL. But let's talk Røkkr now. Let's talk Røkkr. They're coming in. Let me throw up the groups. It's been a little while. So Røkkr finished 2-3 in groups. You guys can see here in Group A, they end up getting the 4th seed. Okay. What was your guys' expectation going into Group A for this team?
Top 3.
Top 3. Absolutely. They don't get it.
Top 3.
Yeah. I thought second.
I thought second too.
Yeah. I was thinking Ultra Røkkr.
Yeah. I mean, put them in any place, top 3. I would have been like, okay, based on what we saw at the end of Major 2.
And maybe it's as simple as what Joe was kind of talking about with accuracy. If you're in game leader, if is going through, the personal stuff, and doesn't have that energy, and maybe that has affected them quite a bit. It could be that. It could be the honeymoon period's worn off a little bit with Standy, and teams are a little bit more prepped for them, and they need to hit that next stage. But I was surprised to see them 2-3, 100%. I thought we were on the cusp of seeing a very good team at the last major. I really felt that way. And here we are.
I mean, it's the same thing that they've struggled with all year was Hardpoint. They're 3-7 in Hardpoint in stage 3. I mean,
Not good enough.
Well, that's where they were so much better at stage 2, at the major, where I was like, okay, here we go.
yeah. But then their search didn't re-improve. They stayed at 2-4. Like, yeah, I mean, I'm sure the accuracy, like him going through Ramadan, has a major impact on a player. I can only imagine going through that. So, playing a league match while fasted. So I don't really know. But yeah, I think this is despite that, this is a disappointment when you talk, especially this group. When you talk about this group, this is a group I think they just had to get top 3 in. With the Dallas struggling, I needed to see something better.
Yeah, speaking to that point too, you look at how the bracket should play out, right? And they're sitting in the round 2 of losers. They'll play the winner of Royal Ravens in Paris. So they're in a pretty prime spot, in my opinion, to cruise is the wrong word. People take that the wrong way when I say it, but like they should be able to make some waves in the loser bracket. Get a win under their belt, match 1. If obviously they get knocked out right away, then it's like a lot of question marks for them. And then they're still a really good team, right? But like if they lose that first match, does that just create a lot of doubt with this roster for you guys, or no?
I guess it just feels like, do you think it's like a prep, like coaching thing a little bit too, or something? Like, I don't know. Does it feel like you kind of have all the pieces? Like,
I was going to say no, because we saw the major 2. I was to say, like, I think you've seen it. We're just not in. I don't know.
I'm not in there. I'm not in their practice. I'm not in their prep. But like,
yeah,
I feel like you really have all the pieces. Like you have a whatever type of leader, good leader and accuracy. You have a very versatile flex and Priesta. You have the young, hungry sub and Standy. You have Attach, who's one of the better subs all time. Like I feel like you really have a good core mix of 4 players. Why the fuck isn't it working? And I wonder if like maybe their practice. I'd be curious to know like how much better their scrims are going versus their actual live matches, or like what the prep actually is. Because I have no insight to what the prep's like. But how is this team not better? Because they should be.
That's all we can do. Like we see the end result, and if it's continually bad, we start pointing fingers at everybody. That's kind of how this shit works.
Yeah, well, we're throwing darts sometimes because we don't have as much as we have more insight than the average person watching the show. We are not at their practices. We are not in the comms with their coaches. We don't know what it's like. But
so the only good thing you take away from stage 3 is Priest has been a beast. I mean, he's been an animal with his stats. I mean, he's got like a 1.6 in search. He's got a 1.2 in control.
We expected that
too, hasn't he? It's just been accuracy really that struggle with.
Yeah. I mean, and what we watched that game, Dave versus Empire, they threw both hard points away. I don't know the impact of Lamar. I don't know the impact of.
He's not doing enough.
Well, no, I'm saying we're going through Ramadan.
I got it.
Like how much weight? I don't know.
Yeah, got it.
Yeah, I don't know. If he was in here, if Austin's in here and speak to it, like he just may not be. Like he's their vocal guy. He's the guy making sure that they're on top of it. That's it
for sure.
So I don't know that effect, and that's why I'm gonna wait for the major.
Yeah, it's like I don't want to like overplay it or downplay it. But I don't know how big of a deal it is. I don't have experience with that. But it could be a big factor, maybe.
Oh, I would imagine it has to be. Lamar's the type. I think Lamar's the type where he's able to micromanage everybody on the map and just be that guy on the comms, like really directing traffic. And if that wasn't happening as often, like maybe some players were a little bit more lost. But I think a good thing to see is for me, Priesta popping off, dude. Well, like that. Mm-hmm. That's someone who obviously when switched to the AR, he needed to put up those stats, right? And he's doing it. So that's why I think they're pretty primed to make a run in losers. And if I see that, if they win a couple games and then lose to like one of the quote unquote top teams, that's okay for me right now. If we see that same sort of thing happening going into the next group stage. I'm like, okay, like same thing, different day. It's like, and then that's where you bring up the other parts, like you said, Clint. Like, what else is there wrong?
Well. I guess you just have to start to. I don't know. There's just a lot of really good players in free agency. As much as I wouldn't change this team, let's say accuracy does continue to struggle, and it wasn't anything to do with what he's going through right now. Let's say next major he struggles quite a bit. Like, I don't know. Like, there's a lot of good ARs out there, and I'm not saying they should change. I think this team can be very, very good, but maybe if they struggle here and struggle over the next month, then we can talk about that more. But I guess I feel like they have the pieces to maybe win a tournament, make a run, and not many teams can say that.
With a lot of young talent coming in and filling spots in these rosters too, when you think about bottom half teams in the CDL right now, with the people playing in challengers kind of chilling right now, I kind of have the thought, it's like, can I build a better free agent roster than a roster in the league? That's the conversations. That's the thought process you have to start thinking about. These roster changes start getting even more crazy when you start getting to the crunch time. You're like, we need to make up some points for champs, and you got all these crazy players just sitting there waiting in the wings playing challengers. Like, I think
you're kind of already at that time, like right after this major. Like, you're making a change for champs.
We're the danger zone, is my point, right?
Yeah, you're there. It's got to happen in the next month. It's got to. I mean, I wouldn't. I don't see much happening after stage 4 if you really expect to win something.
You'll have some desperate ones after stage 4.
Yeah.
But the bottom of the lead teams will make desperate.
Yeah,
moves,
I guess the point too, like Røkkr not at desperate point, just to like throw that out.
No, 100%.
But that's just the overall conversation.
Yeah.
It's not smart to make a team change going into stage 5. I mean, you may not even make champs.
Yeah,
but there's also that you have to make champs. You have to get top 8.
Yeah, that's gonna be scary for a lot of these teams for sure.
I actually can't wait for that. Like, I hate the people on Reddit. They're like, "Oh, it sucks." Like, what, man? Maybe I'm just too used to like North American sports. But like, you play a fucking season. Some teams make playoffs, some don't. Otherwise, what's the point of the fucking season?
Yeah.
Like, I get there are people in Europe that like, I watch EPL too, and like I know you have that format. I can't stand it. There's no like tournament. There's fucking nothing. You just play matches, and the person that won the Premier League is a team with the most wins. That fucking sucks. I want to see a playoff of some kind. Right? That's why I love Champions League and shit. Like, I want to see a bracket and people playing against each other. Like, fuck. That's what makes it important, though.
Yeah.
But just trigger chat.
It's fine. They can be triggered, dude. I need a tournament at the end. I need a playoff. Like, that's just me. I
like
need
more
Don't
chances
you always talk
for
about
upsets.
how you love the NFL though, because every game is important. That's literally EPL.
Well,
so like you're just going against.
Yes, but they have both. Like, that makes the matches matter, and you have a playoff. Like, why not one without the other? That doesn't work. You need both.
Oh, I'm saying. Fair enough.
You need both.
Your opinion.
Listen, EPL could be a lot better. I'm just telling you. You want me to come fucking take over? Just like in Ted Lasso did? I'll be the head of the whole fucking EPL. Take over that shit. Viewership will quadruple.
Oh my god, what can't
they
you
already
do?
tried the Super League, dude. You're literally the CEO of the Super League, bro. It's literally your idea.
Yeah.
Oh shit, dude. I can't wait to watch Pulisic just win the Champions League. Holy fuck, I'm gonna be running around the streets in American flag that day. Holy fuck. Oh, the best competition of soccer in the world, an American on top. I'm gonna be fucking with my flag sprinting around. Holy shit.
You're not even gonna watch. All right, on to the next one.
You
Right?
definitely want to watch it.
I will. I watched the semi.
Let's talk Gorillas. So, when exactly did the Vivid change happen again? Because I don't remember off the top of my head.
After Major 2.
Yeah, right after Major 2. So it was like right away? Okay.
Yep. They played everything with Cheen.
That was definitely unexpected as well, right? Cheen comes in for Vivid. And this is another one where I guess they just maybe felt like the structure, their system wasn't what they wanted it to be, right?
He just didn't fit within how they want to play the game. He's too fucking fast for how they want to play the game is probably part of the problem.
Right. So I kind of get that, but like, let's not pretend like Vivid wasn't playing really well too, you know? So anyway, Silly moves over to SMG and they come into groups and now they're 1-4. So it's another
3 game 5 losses.
Yeah. So that's pretty tough. 3 game 5 losses. Where do they play? They play Surge right away in the bracket. Let me throw that up for you guys real quick. So this is the lay of the land here for the major. You guys can see Gorillas over here. They'll be taking on Surge. Winnable match, obviously. Winnable. Can they win anything else? past that.
I fucking no. This team's dead to me.
Yeah.
Fuck no. I picked them to win 2 series last tournament. They made me a believer. I will never believe in this team again until I forget that I made this pact with myself. But no, they're out of the tournament right away.
I think
I'm right away.
I think this is a troublesome match for Seattle. I don't think it's like an easy match for Seattle at all. I mean, they did like show some improvements. Again, I look at this group. I'm just question marking just some things. But you go to 3-game 5s. We talked about this on broadcast, Maeve. You go to 3-game 5s with Gorillas. That is job well done. But the fact is you have to win some of those. That is what your team is basically. What we've been saying since the start of this team. They are a team that is going to have to get you deep in a series, and then when the game 5s comes up, they have to be able to at least close out 60% of them. They should have won at least 2 out of those, in my mind.
I'd be curious to hear if they're really going to win. Like if they're really annoying a team to play against. Like
Assault had a much better stage 3 though. We got the best Assault this stage, which I think is good for Gorillas fans. But it's still their sub duo. I mean, Silly went down compared to when he was running Fleiss, and you had the same map. Which app you gonna get?
Sub duos, man. I don't know.
Well, it's just it's tough when you compare it to some of the sub duos on like top teams. Like, can't really. Not right now.
I think they're screwed.
I do think they're annoying. I think they're annoying to play against. Probably just the pace they want to play in search and different maps. Like, I'm sure they're annoying to play against. They can get under your skin and they can take you to a map 5. Like, it might upset somebody, but I'm done believing. I am.
It kind of feels like the last place teams in both these groups are in their own little tournament, right? Who's the best of the worst teams, right? And then the
toilet bowl.
Yeah. And then the top teams, it's like, okay, well, we got Ultra, we got New York, we got Faze, Hey,
you described champs. We get to watch the good ones.
Yeah, right. That's how it should be. I don't know. I just I look at the bracket and I'm like, that's gonna end quick. I think it is what it is. I don't know. I hope. I like to be proven wrong, but I just don't see I think they have a pretty good chance to beat Seattle. Why not? They've been looking better. Assault.
Yeah, I do as well. It's not like Seattle's looked great. I didn't see anything really through the roster change. I mean, I got pumped after their first match when they 3-0'd Paris. I was like, let's go. Let's get it. But after that, it was just not good enough.
It's not like Seattle at all. Seattle, we've seen like 1 series played with their new player. Like maybe they will get better. We've seen like 4 matches now. And it's not like a ton, but it's sort of enough that you're like, I didn't think they were going to beat top teams before. I sure as fuck don't now.
And then let me look at the points real quick too. Where's CDL?
Like overall?
Yeah, overall. I
actually haven't looked at it in a while.
Let me throw this up real quick. So this is after
nobody's in like
points leading into Major 3. Points leading into Major 3. So you guys see all these teams basically this 130 mark. I feel like you're kind of chilling right now. Quotations around chilling. And then you get passed down to the 80 mark and you're like, uh-oh. So look at these teams. Bottom 4 don't make champs. Florida's still in panic zone. So this is actually really, really, really big major for them in terms of the whole scope of the league for the year, right? Because they're sitting in 8th, only have 10 points separating. So matches for both of these teams this major are actually kind of important because I think the last qualifier team is going to come down to I don't know, between 20, 30 points, maybe 10 points, like a 1 win separating.
100%.
Yeah. So
100%.
And they Florida's right now is in a better spot to earn more points. The rest of these teams, when you think about this major, how far are they going to make it? 2 of these teams are obviously going to get 10 points, but is it enough to really make waves to get out of the danger zone to qualify? And then you start talking about when do you blow it up? Well, you got to how long do you wait? And stage 4.
It's too late now. You've put enough stock in this internally that you believe in recreating World War II magic, which is what I said fucking our first episode of our show. How much do you believe in that? We're at the point now where I believe there's some fucking fairy dust and they think God above is going to shine his light down on them and they're going to rekindle that magic because that's what they're going for. And I just think like if you were going to really blow this team up, it would have happened already.
There's still time.
I guess I'm just convinced they believe in this special Call of Duty fairy dust.
And like, obviously you're not going to think about it like this, but like, I don't know how many matches are left in the complete CDL for the rest of the year, right? No, I don't know. None of us know that off the top of our head, but like, you just got to outpace Florida, right? And like, when you think about head to head of Florida and LAG versus the rest of the field, who do you think is going to win more games right now? If you want to try and qualify for champs, that's what you got to think about.
Yeah. Well, yeah. I mean, that's the thing, right? Everyone else is going through changes while these other teams are getting better. That's why I thought this was really important for Røkkr to have a good stage, because that sort of zone would have been pushed up a little bit. But that is the thing for Florida. It feels like they kind of have. They're at least in a spot where they're winning. They're beating teams they should. So now it's like, I don't even know. I don't even know what I would do. I'm being honest with you. Like,
scary.
You're like Seattle. This is like a horrifying. You're 50 points.
Look at that. They're in the dumps.
I can't even see your graphic, but is the bottom four the same as the groups? I assume it is. Gorillas, Legion, Raven, Surge.
Yeah.
It's exactly the same as the group. Yeah. I don't see that changing unless something insane happens. That will be the bottom four that they won't make chance. Does anyone think that'll change? I don't.
Seattle is the one team, if they get better, I think you could get up into the top 8. That's the only team in my mind right now.
It's impossible, but right now, I mean, it's hard to imagine that really shifts.
This sucks, and I hate talking like this because I hate useless roster changes. But in the scope of the league, you know what your core has been putting up on the scoreboard so far. Okay? You look at this. I'll bring it up one more time just to prove the point. If you're down here and you have the same core, is that worth keeping the team? Or just going, okay, well, these guys have won a shit ton in challengers. At least they have some momentum under their belt, and signing a group of players that have actually been winning a damn thing this year. And it sucks.
Wait, do you get extra 10 points for winning in majors? Is that how it works?
I thought it was just if you won, like you got 20 instead of 10 or something. I thought you got extra if you won.
Well, I was just saying, because those guys have 50 points but 4 wins. I think it's an extra 10 points if you win a match in a major.
Oh, I thought for some reason
it's even more important.
Maybe think of the home series last year where you got like the bonus points for winning. Maybe think of that. So majors get you double? That might be the case.
If that is the case, well, yeah, it has to be something like that.
Well, it only may. I say it has to be. They have 50
wins.
points with 4 wins. Yeah.
But you guys get what I'm saying? So like, I want to like. The way this format is so punishing towards the bottom, as it should be. But you look at the trend of the league.
Placing points.
You guys really are the duo. Stretched out at the same time. But the team, like, roster changes have worked. They've worked. And like, do you trust your core enough to make up 4 wins, 5 wins?
That's the thing, though. You're saying roster changes have worked. They've all been like teams that had a relatively strong core and made like a 1-for-1 or something. Like, we haven't had a cleansing of the squad.
I know.
But yeah, you're right. It comes down to, does anyone believe that core can win?
What do you put your bet on? A team that has what, like
a special magical fairy dust? I told you that's where the bet is.
But okay, I'm just not even like LA, just like the bottom teams in general. It's like, you just keep rolling the dice on challengers lineups.
I mean,
is that stupid?
For me, it comes down to how much are the Gorillas focused about at the core of their organization. Do they care about just getting a spot in this league early and being here for when this gets going, or did they care about getting in and winning now? Because some teams cared about, a lot of the investors in these were like billionaires, right? Sports owners, if you weren't aware watching. Some people got in, they maybe have more ties to esports, and they got in and they want to dominate this fucking thing.
Yeah.
And I think some people probably got in, they want to spot in with the first 12. They know the potential of this thing exploding down the line and these franchises being worth way more money. So there probably are some teams, and I don't know if this is the case, some teams just fucking got in to get in and aren't investing as much in making their team better when it comes to financial side of it. And maybe that is the case. Maybe that's the case here. And I'm not even saying that's like the wrong thing to do. Like getting a foot in the door, getting a franchise spot is huge. But if it is that you're not investing the resources some teams aren't winning, you're just not going to fucking win. That's just, I mean, it's like you're not trying to win.
Also, just who these guys
I don't know.
have their trust in.
To that point, you're talking money. I get that. What's the more like significant financial risk of just like grabbing a couple more min contracts?
But that's the thing though. They don't. It's on the manager, GM, like whoever the owner placed their trust in. Because that's the thing.
Yeah.
That GM or whoever is then finding their Call of Duty person, and that's how they've built some of these teams. That's what it, to me it comes down to. It's even more just like who that person trusts in building the roster, because there's more to that than the money part of it.
That's what some people don't get. Like, there's just like a lot of the new companies coming in, yeah, like that. They didn't have like the Call of Duty pedigree that an Optic or a Faze had. Like they just they didn't. It was them getting into Call of Duty for the first time or esports for the first time, and yeah, I mean, you might be trusting someone who isn't the best, or I don't know exactly what's going on.
Let me force an answer out of both of you right now.
Okay.
Do you think a top challengers lineup, pick 4 players, right? Build a roster with 2 ARs and 2 subs that could come in and beat Surge, Ravens, Legion, Guerrillas? Do you think you can confidently do that on minimum contracts? That's the point I'm trying to get at.
Not consistently, but they could beat them. Yeah. I don't think there is a challengers lineup you would put together that's going to come in and like top 4 in the league. I don't.
So no, for Clint, what do you think, Joe?
That could come in and beat them. Yeah, I just don't. I don't know how consistently.
Or upset a top team to make your way back up in the standings to even have a minimal chance of qualifying.
The problem is just as crazy is that like challengers scene is crazy. When we're talking about systems, we're talking about you taking 4 that has proven themselves in challengers and they've built kind of that system. Those teams changed all the time. Do I think there's good enough players down there to be in the Pro League for sure? But I don't know. Like, if you would have told me West are at the beginning when they've won 3 in a row, I probably would have been like, yeah, you should just take them. But right now, it's still the Wild Wild West all the time.
Plugging one guy in is a lot different than pulling 4.
Yes.
Those are very fucking different things. And that's why my gut says
100%.
no. Like, plugging one into an established pro team is very fucking different than picking 4 challengers players.
I'm looking at the rosters people are putting in the chat. Give me Nato.
They're all different though.
Yeah, okay. Like a hypothetical is all I'm going for here. You guys are sticking to your guns. I like your answers. This is the whole point of the conversation. I like that. Give me a Saints, TJ, Slasher, and give me one more AR. You know? Like a really could that team
Tom Gravity? Yeah, maybe.
Yeah. Could that team give your team a better chance, your franchise a better chance to qualify for champs? That's my that's my argument.
It's not. I guess it's not that guaranteed of a thing for me that
it never is.
Instantly pull the trigger. Could they? Yeah.
If there was
we might be having the same conversation about that team that we are about these. Honestly,
again, for me, it's just if there was a team that was consistently placing like top 3, that wasn't really going through changes, and it's tough because throughout challengers, some players have gotten poached. You're seeing that happen often, and I mean, I look back at like my team, Liquid Team, because every single one of those guys, like we all almost got poached, but like the goal was just that we signed a contract, we were doing this, we were qualifying the other.
This is a good time for me to run to the bathroom because I'll say something that'll piss Joe off.
No, I mean, yeah, I get it. That was sort of the thing. I've been in a position like that. You don't have those organizations down there. It's the Wild Wild West. I don't know if anyone's really any salary down there. I have no idea.
Yeah.
So it's different. Like, so if there was a team with a pedigree that was winning often, I'd be like, yeah, bring them up.
I guess, like,
because then you're just wasting time. When you talk about right now, you're then giving them stage 4 in which they would have to build that, and then at that point, you're just hoping. You're hoping it would have to pay off at that point.
That's my point. Like, if you're putting,
I mean, it's a risk either way.
Have we staying with the roster isn't going well. How this league works, it's just like roll the dice.
I'm about it.
If you're on the bottom 4, roll the dice.
You're a team. Do what you got to do.
Yeah, right?
I'm in.
And it sucks.
I mean, I love it.
I just don't like that it's like so, I don't know if easy is the right word, but like your bottom like I've had this conversation, I've had this thought on other episodes too, when you guys usually take like the more cutthroat. So that's the route I'm going. You know, this roster sucks. Chop it. Gone.
But it's the same thing I talked about. It's this fact is like, all right, let's take Gorillas, for example. Who is their coach? Like, who is their GM talking to? It's Bevels, right? That's their head coach. Bevels has a trust in Assault and Silly and App because they won a world championship together. So when the GM is like, hey, Bevels, what should we do? He's like, man, we won a world championship together. These guys are performing really well in practice. If that person above him isn't really paying attention, then it's not Bevels. But again, I know what he's going to say.
Facts.
He's going to say, these are my guys.
You're assuming.
Why would he not?
You're assuming that the head of that organization cares about winning.
That's what I said. I just said that.
I missed that. I stepped back in.
I just fucking said that, David. Shut your face.
Well, it's going back to my original point. If the goal is just to be in the league, they're in the league.
It's also the goal of that person. I don't know. I mean, Bevels and Ricky aren't dumb. Like, what's their record this year? They're bottom 4. They're not idiots. They aren't stupid. I have no idea though. That's it. They're getting paid.
But even if they, like, let's say Bevels wanted to change the whole squad out. Say he did, which probably isn't the case. But let's say he did. Person above him be like, nah, we're biding our time. I don't know.
That could be the case.
Maybe that's it.
Yeah.
Maybe that's it.
That could be the case.
I mean, that's what everybody assumes happened with Vivid, though, right? Vivid went to them and was like, we got to change. And they were like, nah. Yeah. And he's like, no, seriously, we got to change. He's like, nah, again. Like, you're being rude. So you're going to sit on the bench.
Yeah.
That was it.
I don't know. I appreciate you guys' takes. I'm kind of being the dick in this scenario because at what point, what are you okay with? Like, what's your goal, right? Every franchise, every person in this scenario has different history. Yeah, but it's like,
right? Here's one thing I'll compare it to. It's the same thing in pro sports. There are always contracts that are signed by mediocre players that get the big contracts, and everyone's like, what the fudge was that?
Yeah.
Why did they just give this person this
Why does that
money?
happen?
But like it always does. It's just what it is.
You get the homie deal? Is that what those are?
I mean,
your boys with the
you listen, bro. You get what's Minnesota's quarterback? You get that deal, dude. You're living life. What's that guy's name?
I can picture its face. He played at Michigan State, I think.
That'll give it.
Kirk Cousins. Yeah, dude. You get Kirk Cousins' contract. What's the matter? Kirk Cousins is a mid-tier. He's a mid-tier NFL quarterback, and he got the bag because teams need mid-tier NFL quarterbacks. So it is what it is.
How did I know his college? Yeah, it was his college. Why did I know that? But I couldn't think of his name.
You're so weird.
I have the weirdest football knowledge in my head. I don't know why I knew that, but yeah, no, I remember actually watching a QB drill thing with him. Like, the televised thing they'll do between like college and the NFL, not the combine, but like some other thing they did. He was fucking god. I was like, this guy's gonna be a beast. And then
see, there's this dude. There's Kirk Cousins who win playoff games. Kirk Cousins dog water, bro. You could say, yeah, Apathy can win a world championship. Apathy's one of the worst subs in the league. You can do both things.
Yeah. All depends on your perspective. Totally.
It does. And I think for a lot of these guys, like I even think, we talked about like the Surge. They haven't taken a lot of risks on rookies. They've always gone with, people they've trusted with vets. And it's much easier when you have a resume and a pedigree and trophies attached to your name than an 18-year-old who.
Well, here's the way I look. Go ahead.
They're looking to build the brand though too. Like even if we didn't talk about that, like some of these, if they're not as concerned about winning, one thing they are concerned about is at least like building brand a bit, right? Like the team of the name. These are new established brands for a lot of them, and who's got a better chance to do that? Someone like Apathy or someone from Challenge?
The last point I want to bring up before we keep moving on, because we're taking forever. We're already at an hour and 40 minutes. We're not even half.
What the fuck?
Yeah, we're just talking about BS. It's kind of my fault. I'm having fun with it though.
We got through 4 fucking teams.
Yeah, I know. We're not even through Group A. We gotta get moving here. I'm just kind of fucking snowballing.
No, it's cool.
I hope chat likes the conversation because I'm just kind of going nuts. when you get to a new title, that's when I would invest in the vets and hope they pan out. When you get to this point, who has actually done something in the game? That's top challengers players that have won multiple times. That's my point.
I agree with that. No, I agree with that.
If it doesn't work, you sign them to a half a year deal, half a season deal. New year hits, run it back again. Sign some vets. Run it
I
back.
think we all agree with you. It just comes back to none of that mattering. The management, that's not the way they're thinking. Like,
that's how this league works right now.
All right, let's move on to the next team, I guess. I mean, we're gonna have a similar conversation with Legion. I don't even know where to
Paris.
go with that.
Temp's on the team now. Did they look any different?
This is just an 8s team, dude. Just put them in 8s. They're just looking to just run on the map. I mean, this is just a 4 wild players.
They get hot, win some respawns. I mean,
yeah, that's it.
Yeah.
I mean, they were 0-5 in search, 1-4 in control. The only game mode they won in is Hardpoint, and that's what I mean. Like, these guys just want to run around and shit.
Are they beating Ravens?
Hardpoints, 100%.
Yeah, that's it.
Are they beating Ravens?
I don't think so.
I don't think so either. I don't think so either.
Yeah.
I think Ravens
has some stuff they're good at.
They're getting better. Ravens is actually their search is getting better. Like, the only thing with Ravens is obviously that drama that may be a thing, but we're not too sure.
I didn't even see that, so I don't even know you're
All
talking.
right, guys, we're on Group B now. Holy shit.
Basically, there was just some
we
tweets
haven't even talked about Optic or anything.
Zed, I don't know, no idea, but we'll see what happens with that.
I guess read that later.
What
are we doing?
I'll find it.
Group B time.
Group B time. New York. They look good.
Yeah, I was actually surprised to see the number of people, because for me, I guess I still feel like it's pretty clear cut for me. It's Faze and Ultra top 2 favorites to win this thing. But there are a lot of people that were saying NYSL, and I think it was COD tweet out who's winning. I saw a lot of NYSL. Yeah, I mean, why not? They've got a shot to. They look good. Hydra has made an immediate impact in Hardpoint. We had a long conversation in a couple Hardpoints episodes where we talked about needing to bring Hydra in. And us not knowing him well, just knowing that he was a freak. And when you hear enough people say someone's a freak, usually they are.
Yeah.
Turns out he's a fucking freak. Immediately
Nasty.
you saw his playmaking ability on the map. It was instant. The search struggled for him at first. It looks like it's getting a little bit better, but
better.
I think this goes to back up our conversation, especially Joe, who was like, get it done. Get it done if he's as good as everyone
GM
says.
Joe.
It's just I think we've all been around long enough that it's
I put it
when
in
you,
the
when you hear one or two people say some player is nasty, whether it's a foreign player or a challengers player, then all right, maybe they'll be good. But there were so many that were vocal about it. You just know they're going to be good. Turns out, yeah, he's good.
Nice been a beast too on the flex. Just I mean, each series getting better and better. I mean, you just look at this pool. They beat Atlanta in a game 5. They lost to London in a map 5. They lost both searches, whatever. Then they beat Chicago and LA Thieves. They're 9-0 in Hardpoint throughout stage 3. 9-0. I think if you have any concerns, it would be the fact that the search hasn't looked the best, and they're 1-4 in control. When we talk about Toronto Ultra, when we talk about Atlanta Faze, they won the way they won stage 1. It was not around Hardpoint. They were good at Hardpoint. They competed in Hardpoint, but the way they won those majors was through search and destroy and control. That is the one thing that I would be worried about. 1-4 in control throughout a stage is not good. 4-3 in search, that's fine, but you better have a great Hardpoint, and they do. But yeah, I just look at the teams, the way they've won the majors. Atlanta Faze and Toronto, they dominated 2, 3, and 5 throughout those runs.
Yeah, this is like one of the few years, because I usually am very much against that whole mentality that S&D wins championships, because I think for a long time, this wasn't fucking true. People would say it, but usually it was the top Hardpoint teams that were in finals, or, I mean, if you think of the greatest dynasties of all time and Call or Optic, usually it was through Respawn. But right now, to Joe's point, yeah, we've had 2 tournaments, and the 2 tournaments, the teams were lights out in search, or very good in search. And that could change, obviously, but we haven't really had and maybe it's just this particular title and the change in skill gap from sort of talent to positioning or whatever it might be, but there hasn't really been Or well, yeah, a lot of changes.
Specialists.
There hasn't really been a really good hardpoint team consistently. Like Empire was the start of the year, Optic was the start of the year. That's gone. Faze
Faze was godlike in stage 1.
Yes, Faze at times has looked really good at hardpoint, but that's been a little more hit or miss. I guess I'm just saying, like, there hasn't really been a consistently good hardpoint team throughout the course of the year. Stage 2, yeah. Stage 1, it wasn't the hardpoint. Which is, I guess I wonder what all plays into that, but just hasn't been the case. No one's been consistently just dominant in hardpoint. Just hasn't really been a thing. Except Subliners right now. So maybe if the recipe for success changes for this event, it might be because they're hardpoint.
Well, Faze was 12-2 throughout stage 2. I mean, that's pretty darn dominant. Like,
no, they weren't. That's what I'm saying. They were but they weren't really in stage 1 as much. Like there's been periods where a team has been really, really good in hardpoint. And they haven't. I don't think Faze has been that nuts in hardpoint in stage 3, have they?
No, but yeah, I mean, you just look at the major 2 grand final. They lost. They went 1-2 in search and 0-2 in control, and that's like my only thing. Like there could be a major grand final, and that's what happens in NYSL. Like they could split hard points versus a Faze in a Toronto Ultra, but the search and the control just based on what has been successful, got to be there.
Just odd that we don't have we always have a couple a year that's like they're a hardpoint team. We don't really have much of that right now, other than like NYSL.
Yeah, I think
people are figuring it out.
Yeah, New York's strategy, obviously going into the major. You guys spoke to their hardpoint stats already. They're feeling confident on probably every map there with how good they've looked. When you talk about like vetoes and things like that, based on the control stats, right? Like, it's just like you just get rid of whatever team you're playing against best map and you try and go 50-50. I think if you go 50-50 in control for the major, you have probably a pretty damn good shot of winning it. You guys agree with that?
Yeah, 100%.
Easy to say when your hard points looking like that. And like,
what are they on, 8 in a row or something like that? 9 in a row?
9.
Talking S&D too, it's like they haven't had that much time to really fine-tune a lot of things, right, in S&D so far. So if that continues to improve, I'm sure they'll be spending, I would think, a lot more time on trying to lock down, setups and things like that and for search.
To that point, I'm wondering if it's gonna happen to them, what's happened to other teams. Like when Faze seemingly needed to focus on getting better at the hard point, it did, and they tailed off a bit in search. When Røkkr needed to get better in hard point, they did, but it tailed off in search. I'm wondering, I just feel like we've seen a lot of examples this year of a team pushing to get better at a mode and falling off another one. Optic, best hardpoint team in the game, got better at search. Now they can't win a hardpoint if there's not another team on the map. So like, I guess I just wonder if NYSL, if they do shift that focus a little bit.
I think that they're just still so new that I just don't see that.
No, they might not. I'm just saying there's been a trend this year kind of with that.
No, you're correct. You're correct.
I mean, they need to hit like 75% for hard points, which they're obviously overperforming in that regard, like with the record, and they got to bring their control up. They sit like right around there. That's the formula, right? Can you carry it through? And that's that consistency. That's what kind of brings you through, and especially if you do make it to. I guess I would worry about them in a best of 9, based on map stats alone. But it is still just so new. I don't know.
So new.
You know what I'd be curious to see? Someone took the winner of every major tournament we've had over the course of time and averaged out what their game win percentage was over the tournament, what it would look like for all of them combined. Like hardpoint, search, control. If it all met in the middle somewhere, or if there was like a clear trend.
I think it's more like this. And the reason the sort of S&D win championships thing is sort of come alive, you are correct. And the best team in the game is typically a very good respawn team, like the complexity is for TeeP. But the fact is like you are at some point going to be pushed to a map 5. Like I just think of, I don't know, Ghost Champs. They have to play Optic in that game 5. Like like their search was great, but the fact is like there is going to be that moment in which you will be pushed. Like you're going to have a good search game. Like that's it for me. Like a good respawn is reliable, but I'm off series or something. Like there's just going to be that one map, that map 5, that is the difference maker from you winning a title.
Yeah, I think for the most part, it's been, as much as I say it's been a good respawn team, it's been a good balanced team. Like you're really good in respawn maybe, but you're good enough in search. Like you just can't have you can't have a major weakness, so you're not winning a tournament. Usually what it
Yeah,
boils down
Chris
to.
is just saying there's just more comp, which is true. That's what I meant. Like the respawn thing when we talked about, like it's just
Like they went perfect in
skill,
Hardpoint throughout
skill.
the groups. I just don't think they're gonna be able to do it throughout the entire major.
No.
Yeah, it's just
No.
hard to do. That's just so
No.
hard to do. Yeah.
Yeah.
So what Chris is saying that to what I said about why it doesn't seem like there's been that consistency with respawn. It might just be a competition thing now.
Yeah, and he's
Yeah.
saying that people are also just taking Search a lot more serious, which, yeah.
I'm sure.
Let's talk Faze. We have high hopes for New York. Obviously, they're coming with a winners round bye. We're getting first seed. They're looking damn good, and the fact that they look this good already with Hydra coming in, Mac playing out of his mind.
Well, never mind.
Yeah. So they got the formula to win, man. And just one more thing to touch on the New York point before we move on to Faze is you bring it up a lot when you're commentating, Clint. Like your thoughts on the listen-ins, and there's a clear difference. I know everyone can hear it too, of what a good listen-in is like compared to like a okay one. And an okay one, like the team has energy, they're giving good information on the map. That's all great, right? The teams and the individuals that are on an elite level of communication, in my opinion, are the ones that are like checking in a lot. They're keeping the players focused on a goal at a given time. Yeah, I want to. Obviously, you can expand on this point for sure. But like you listen to Clay talk versus other people when you watch CDL matches, chat. What is he doing differently? And that's why I always missed playing with Clay, because you just feel like you always know what's next. You always know what the right play is at a given time. Like, obviously, I want to give credit to the rest of the team too, but like he's just a good example of what the difference is.
I think it's interesting because I think about this with commentary too. I think what separates like elite commentary duo versus another, and what separates elite player comms versus another, is sometimes I listen to commentary and like it sounds good, but what bothers me is you realize the two people aren't commentating together. One fucking person saying something, the other person says something. One person says something, the other person says something. Whereas Joe and I have a back and forth. We have a conversation. There's more like we are working together, which I think separates a lot of commentary duos. And I feel the same when I listen to like a listener. When it's just a bunch of people shouting shit, it doesn't do a lot for me. But when you hear the back and forth and responses, like someone saying blah blah is going here, and that person says, "All right, I'll pick it up. You watch this." Like when there's more of a convo within the comms, like that small talk, I think for me that separates it massively. And a lot of listens, you don't notice that. It literally is just four individuals shouting call outs. When you hear that, like when I think we were in an NYSL one the other day, and Asim was like, says something, Joe, like, all right, I'm gonna hit this side to make a play. And then Clay goes, all right, if he's hitting that, this is gonna open up. Like there was just like a stages to the back and forth that you don't hear with other listen-ins. But no, it's funny.
That's
the same way about
the practice thing, there, right? I mean, that's what I mean. Like you recognize the situation, you have to know what is happening in that situation,
and
are just prepared. Like their practice is probably really, really good.
Small talk dictates pace. We've talked before about teams having pacing issues. Like people love to throw that blanket term over everything. That happens when one or two or three or maybe the whole team is just doing that. Like they do something, they react, they call it out. That's where the separation on the minimap happens, and that's when you see people taking 1v1s in a bad position. That's when you see someone not playing their life well enough when you have help on the way. That's when you don't react to a spawn flip, 1 second too late. Those little things pile on each other over and over and over and over again. And that's when it's like, oh, this team looks like they're slow. This team looks stupid. It's like, no, all these players are extremely talented and smart. But if not enough information is like being translated well, that it just like snowballs into a worse scenario. So like that's the type of stuff where the elite teams look different. Simple as that. And talk about Faze, like they do a lot of that stuff really well too. Obviously, we talk a lot about like what Arcides has brought to the team, right? He's like kind of the more level head, slows it down, get a conversation going. What's our plan? Oh shit, we just got broke. We have bad spawn. What the hell is the next plan? So talking about Faze going into this major, they like going into major 2, we were all like, there's no way they lose, right? Like that was like the conversation. Going to this one, it's a little bit different. Obviously, they have the loss. They lost to New York early, right? Was it the first? Which match was it? Was it that they lost?
Didn't they just lose the final? They just lost the final, right?
No. I was talking group stage.
Some of the league.
Groups.
It was like the first.
Oh yeah, New York game 5.
Yeah, it was the first match, right? So like,
yep.
After that point, it was a tight game. They go in and they go 4-0, right? So they're looking really, really solid. The things that we saw them kind of struggle against, they've only really struggled against, like, I'm just thinking about the last major. It was just against Ultra. Against everyone else, they look pretty damn comfortable. So I wonder, like, speaking about Faze, I wish Crowder was on for this part. Obviously, I like to get his input on like what practice is like
chat,
and things like that. Yeah, so he can give it, like, I just meant like on the show, like just get his more like detailed opinions. But I wonder if there's like a specific goal, like what they've been focusing on. Is it more
clear? We don't need Chris. I mean, it was evident what their goal was. I mean, some of their series looked like they were struggling because they kept playing APOC. They kept playing Express Search. They kept playing maps that they weren't winning a lot to try and get better at those maps. So, like, I've
you
said
think
this
it's
all
just
along,
a map selection thing?
Well, we haven't seen them play their go-to maps at all this fucking league. The only time we did was against Optic.
Yeah.
How'd that go?
You're not wrong.
You can talk about the ping all you want. That was fucked up. I wish that didn't happen. But, like, I don't care what the fucking ping was there. That was a blowout. But, like, they have been, if you look over the series, they were playing a lot stuff they want to get better at. And that's good. But it's going to lead to some 4 and 5 game series sometimes because that's just the nature of it.
Right.
I don't think we had many series in Group B for Faze where they just were like, we're going to our good ones, we're hammering them. I don't think that was the case. Chris can correct me, but that's what I fucking saw. I saw them trying to get better at other maps.
Yeah, I mean, you saw in a desperation time, they had to win versus Optic. What they went to their bread and butters.
And we didn't see that like at all. At least I don't think so.
No, it was very rare that we saw that. Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, if you look at their stage 3 records, they were 0-3 in Apocalypse. There was a couple they should have lost or should have won probably. And then 6-2 in Search, 4-1 in Control. I think that's they played Express 3 times. They won it twice.
Yeah.
I think that's great that they're getting their Search and Control back up there. They know this isn't, I guess, like, they know they have to get to the final. And they know they have to get to Toronto. But they also know, like, that is what they're working towards. That is, we have to get back to that level in those game modes to beat Toronto Ultra.
Yeah. That I think the trouble too is that if you look back at the final, and yeah, this is where Crowder can speak to it more, but like they did play a lot of. It's tough in a best of 9 because you play a lot of maps, but there were like a lot of maps that were pretty good for Faze, but were also really good for Ultra. So I think they're trying to get to a point, I would imagine, where they can make that a lot less comfortable. Because that series after the first couple of maps really looked good for Ultra, if I remember correctly, for that best of 9. Like, you got through like 1 and 2, and it was really good for Ultra.
It was like the first 5 maps. It was like the first 5.
Was it that many? 5?
Yeah, it was like 5 maps. But then like the last like 2 or 3, it was better for Ultra, yeah.
Okay. I just remember thinking, like, yeah, if it got deeper in the series, it looked really good for them. And I guess you want to do whatever you can to avoid that, like get to maybe some more uncomfortable stuff. But at the same time, then Ultra has been working on things they're not good at. So it's a tough, there's 2 parts to it. But I just think there was a sentiment that Ultra or Faze like weren't as good anymore. And I was like, what the fuck are people talking?
I think like a decent point, like an actual move that we haven't seen many other teams make is signing another coach. Should we talk about that at all?
They brought in Tupac, right?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I think it was a good idea because I mean, I doubt it costs a ton of money, and it can help. Why not if you have the resources? And they struggle with a very similar thing that Mutineers do in my eyes. Like, they are the number 1 team on attack on S&D. They're like the number 10 team on defense. And I think, personally, I know I'm not the expert, but they get antsy. There are 4 players that want to fucking take gunfights and smoke you, and they can. But when you're playing against other top teams, you get a little antsy on defense, and maybe you're pushing in spots you don't need to, or just being more aggressive than you need to. They get caught. They got first blooded a lot. And that happened during the stage 2 final. So maybe he's coming in to help them from that regard. But I just always thought it was funny. Like, they're literally number 1 in attack by a ridiculous margin, and it's just their defense is nowhere close. And to me, that just says, like, it's got to be getting antsy or something, like, or because it's not just
a player getting caught. Yes, it's what it is.
Yeah,
I mean.
Exactly what it is.
They work on that, they can get back to being
it's
dominant
like,
in Search.
Yeah, it's like one of those things, like when you have a stat like that, you said for offense, they just have like such a substantial higher win rate on that. How do you replicate the scenarios on the defensive side? Like, you notice the situations where someone gets antsy and over peaks. Like, that's where everyone in a round in a mid game scenario where it's like a 3v2 and you have like the advantage on a defense, like who's gonna step the fuck up and like keep people honest, keep your teammates honest, right? It's like
you don't
that's
need
the
to
type
slow
of stuff.
down. But what did Joe say?
Yeah.
Joe, I think like you can play the defense like offense in a way. Like,
Yeah.
you can dictate the fights.
Not all the time, because then like, but yeah, you
It's
can.
different, but like, what did you say, Joe? Like you can kind of force it still. Play.
Yeah. Well, I was just versus Florida, or when we were talking about
I
Florida.
can't remember if we were talking about Faze or Florida at the time, but you were sort of saying like you can play defense, or you can get the same goal you can with offense on defense.
You can. You just play a retake. You stack a site. When the bomb is down, it is the same thing as attacking a site, because when a bomb is planted on a site, you know positions they're going to set up. When Abizi knows, when Celium knows, that gives them the advantage in those fights, right? When you play retakes. The problem is if you had a lone man play a site, you got picked. That happened to a lot of them on Express. They would be in a 3v4, and it's tough to retake those. So retakes with equal numbers is very similar to offense, because you know where people are going to be or have an idea of how they are going to play those rounds in those post-plant situations, because they have to watch the bomb defense, obviously. That's what I was saying Faze should do in that Gorillas match. You were literally just watching Gorillas be in 3 separate lanes, L triggering, because they knew someone was going to get antsy.
Yeah.
So the coaching can help for sure, but
yeah,
I think it's like it seems to be a small fix away from them going back to being way better than people at Search.
Yeah, and like speaking back to the last major too, like Ultra just caught fire, and they've kind of like kept riding that wave too. We talk about it. We've talked about it with teams in the past. Like, what happens when Ultra gets smacked in the mouth once and they lose a map they feel like they should have won? Like, you know, it's gonna stop eventually. Like this extreme crazy streak that they're on. When is it gonna stop? Who's gonna do it? Faze is probably the most well equipped team from top to bottom to stop the momentum. Yeah. So, just interesting. It's gonna be interesting to see how things move forward. We're talking Faze, right? Like, they're on momentum too. They have really good batches leading into the major. They're a team, even looking at the roster throughout last season too, throughout Modern Warfare, like, they just make their way to finals, bro. They figure it out. They find a way. They might not be playing fundamentally sound all the time. They might have some glaring issues at times. They find a way, and that's why they're always like going to be in that conversation. Crowder, if you're still in here, good luck, buddy. Yeah, what else you got, Joe?
Well, I was just saying, they know, like Chris knows, like, at times they're gonna live and die by an Abizi play. Like, they just, like, I've talked to him about it. Like, he's never gonna make his players not do something that they don't want to do.
Mm-hmm.
Like, you have Abizi on your team, he's gonna win you. He's gonna lose you some rounds over challenge. Like, that's just it. But he's also gonna win you probably 75% more.
Yeah,
like, by being
Abizi. You can't like put someone like that on a leash or something like that, you know?
Yeah, exactly.
He talked about his experience with Zuma.
I got
came with Zuma. Like, they tried to like put him on a leash. They tried to control him, and they learned like we sort of need to let him do his thing a little bit. But that, I think that makes. Do you think that when like there's one player like that you're gonna live and die by him? Like, at times, I think it puts that much more pressure on your Alec, your Cell, your Simp to maybe play a little bit more structured. I guess I just feel like one guy can kind of be let loose, but.
Well, that's probably that's a big part of like offensive rounds, right? Like, offensive rounds, you're following him, and if he gets a kill and then Simp is following that and then Cell's following that, like, what do? Oh, that sounds horrible. I don't want to do that. I hope I'm at the other bomb site. Like,
probably why they're number one on offense. Yeah.
So, yeah, I mean, you just kind of in a way have to replicate that on defense. Like, it's still difficult, but the big issue for them was they were just getting picked a lot, and they had a couple of weak maps, and now they're getting better at it. But yeah.
All right. Well, while TeeP's gone, let's just move on. We'll talk about Thieves now, because we've already been live forever. We have to wrap this up before we start our Warzone Wednesday stuff. All right, let's talk Thieves.
Yeah, about 30 minutes. We got about 30 minutes, right? Yeah.
Yeah, first off, I think Thieves were put in a tough spot that I could only really compare to maybe after Methods won MVP and then got dropped, or maybe Karma or Clay for Karma. Like, there's only been a couple of times where like a team is winning and you make a change, but it's different in the sense that, you know, Thieves weren't the best team in the game. They just won a tournament or anything, but it's similar in the fact that they seem to be finding a groove. They were looking really good. But the fact is, when a franchise player like Huke comes available, you got to get him. And TJ hadn't fucking been playing great. Just that's the simple part of it. So you get away with fucking robbery. I mean, this is on the scale of Alec going to Faze at the beginning of the year. We were just like, what the fuck? How is RC's on Faze? That is how I feel about Huke the 100 Thieves. Like, how did you let this happen?
You pay a lot of money.
Yeah. But they still they looked all right.
I solved it.
So far. They looked
Did
all
it.
right. But they've got some work to do for sure. It's gonna take some time, I think, to work Huke.
Yeah, I mean, you're rebuilding your system, which their system was looking very solid. Draza and Kenny have been amazing. Like those two have been so solid. Like they've been a blast to watch. It's like a Krieg duo. I don't know if there's like maybe like camming inside. I'm sure selling art. Like there's some Krieg duos. I just feel like at times they can be like electric in those roles and kind of take over the map. But that's probably because they have to, because their subs weren't really producing at times.
Well, and
that's why they needed a Huke.
Or Kenny can make more plays than most ARs.
That's probably true.
Yeah, I think.
But yeah, I mean, now they have to rebuild everything. I think we saw moments where they looked pretty solid versus New York with Huke. But we'll see what happens. I mean, now it's just high expectations. This was a move for the World Championship. That's what this was, and for the future. Like we talked about. Like LA Thieves now have Kenny and Huke to build around if things go wrong this year. They might not even happen. Like Roz has been a beast. Venom's getting more and more comfortable. They may not need to make a roster change if they win, but
it's cool to see.
Have to.
It's just been cool to see
Kenny and Huke.
It's been cool to see Draza get like another shot at it and then perform really well again. Right?
I love him.
Like
exceed expectations.
Like again, you know how hard that probably was. Like you come in, you have a really good performance at the end of Modern Warfare, right? Going into champs and stuff like that. Then you don't get the chance again, even though everyone kind of maybe thought it would have happened. Like they would have gave him a shot on the to start. Then he comes back in again. This time, guy's been playing lights out. Like that's just cool. I'm happy for him. Like it's not an easy thing to do, and the fact that he's been able to be like do it on different games, similar scenario, like that's just cool storyline for me. So,
whoever said it, whether it was Nate or Eric, whoever said that, like. He wouldn't even be on content days or listed to do content, but he'd be the first to show up to the content days. I was like, I fucking love this kid. I love nothing more than just a fucking hungry ass player ready to.
Insane, bro. He literally grew up in Alaska, and he
I didn't know
moved
people
to
lived there. Did not know people lived in Alaska.
He literally lived, I think, in his friend's like bedroom to compete, man. Like, what do you mean? Yeah, this kid, he fucking wants it.
Yeah.
Like,
that's cool.
That's the story. That's just gonna be on ESPN 30 for 30 in like 25 years or some shit. Like, it's gonna be lit.
One Eskimo.
I'm just happy for us. Okay, looking at the bracket real quick. I know we got to get moving for you guys. Let's look at that bracket real quick. They play Florida in winner bracket right there. Obviously, a match that I think most people probably think they give it to Thieves with how both teams look. But I don't know. No, that's a tough one to predict, to be honest.
Yeah.
That feels like a 50-50 to me, kind of. I know it's not, but it really does.
Yeah, I was like saying that sentence, and I'm like, wait, do I actually think that? I don't know if I do. Like, kind of a coin flip match there, and then obviously winner of that moves on to play New York in the next round. So,
hello.
Hey, hey, Crowder,
you piece of shit.
Crowder, you here? Hold on, let me.
Boom. I don't have my cam on, though.
Oh, that's me. Oh,
you can just leave my picture there.
Well, no, it's all messed up. You got to put your camera on because now I see myself. It's all messed up, dude.
1 second. All right,
turn it on. Turn it on.
I might be.
Turn it on.
Hold on, chat.
Turn it on.
Oh, he's gone again. Oh no. We'll go back to these two for now. Okay. Hey.
I think it's important though for like Thieves to. I mean, they're like points wise, they're still in a not the best situation. Like they're in an okay spot. So I think they need to win at least a match here. Or two.
Okay. Joe. Bald.
Yep.
Crowder.
Hello.
Crowder's loading.
Hi.
Cool.
I'm loading. I don't know what that means, but
the squad is back. What up, Crowdy?
Hey, buddy.
You made it for a little bit.
Hello. You can do it.
Seems like you're killing it.
I doubled up somehow. I moved. I'm now James. Hello, I'm Jimmy Crowder. Oh,
did I mess everything up, bro?
No, you're okay.
We're coming back.
As soon as you have your cam, like right now, you're good. Like all the crop is good.
Yeah, I mean, you can just leave it. It's fine.
Just leave it. Crowder's loading.
Just leave it. It's fine. Don't worry. You're just loading in, dude. You're like an NFT or something, dude. That's Crowder.
I'm leaving your pickup, but you're here now.
Sounds good to me.
Okay. So we just talked Thieves. So yeah,
I just want to watch him, right?
Yeah.
I just want to watch him play with Huke. That's really it for me.
Yeah, they need
I just
time.
watch him play with Huke.
They need time to really see like what the true potential is, but like the fact that they made a move like that, like it's an investment, and by champs time, it could be really, really scary. Simple as that. Yep. I wish we had more time to talk about this next team, but let's get into Optic Chicago real quick.
We can spend the rest here, basically. I don't think we need to spend that much time on Raven Surge.
That's
so
true.
We
kind of
we
give thoughts on bottom teams already. So
they kind of stink.
Yeah, they don't look good.
And I guess I'm at the point now where I thought for a long time, I guess that if they improved in search with this core roster, you could find a way to be a decent hardpoint team. But now we're at the point, I guess I'm thinking change. Like depending on how this tournament goes, I don't know about this 4-man roster.
Change. You think it change? I don't think that's happening.
I don't think it is either. But I guess I don't know that I'm convinced this 4-man roster is winning a tournament.
Turn my camera on.
Hey, what's up, buddy?
I got you. I see you.
Which seems crazy to say because they should be able to, based on the level of talent on this roster. But I guess it's clear something's not clicking. And depending on how this tournament goes, if they just get bopped out right away or win a series and go.
I don't know what happened. What was the turning point? Like watching some of their games now, it looks weird. You guys get the same feeling watching like some of their POVs? Like what?
They look lost.
We're talking Optic.
Yeah, they seem lost. And I don't know how you fix that.
It's like
the turning point was the Røkkr game 5. I mean, that was the turning point.
Yeah. Ever since the Røkkr tweet. Yeah.
Well, not yeah. I mean,
XM4.
Right.
XM4 being banned. Yeah, I guess. But I feel like that changes a lot. Don't get me wrong. But like, just the way they look like they're moving around the map looks weird to me. It looks like slow and passive and like not confident. And that's just like so opposite of those guys' personality. It's just like,
I think that is a problem though. I think they have no confidence probably. They have very little. Whereas like we talked about Ultra and how they found form and they play so confident. Band's found confidence. Like I think it's like an opposite issue for Optic in a lot of ways right now. Like there's probably none.
This is if you guys remember, well, Maven does. We shot content and we kind of talked about this roster change and how I didn't love it. I think Dashy's a really good player. But I got some heat for it, which is totally okay. But I just said I didn't love it. And this is the reason why I didn't like it, because I didn't think they had the talent to win. But this league, as we've talked about, requires the small, tiny, littlest things. And they started the Optic cycle, which we all know is be really good early in the game, stream scrims, fall off a little bit midway through, stop streaming scrims, try to figure it out for the end game, which is basically where we're at. We're at that cycle.
Every goddamn year.
I just felt like losing Alec was bad, because when things start going bad for these guys, like who is going to be the one person to step up and be like, I'm just done with this. I'm sick of freaking losing. We need to do little shit, and we're not doing it. I don't know. We're not there. I don't know if they're doing VODs. I don't know if they're going over every day. I don't know if they're going over their week maps VODs, if they're going over practice VODs. I have no clue. But it just feels like that isn't happening. It feels like there is a level of effort that just isn't there.
The one guy in comms that sometimes seems to be taking over that role for me is Formal. I mean, sometimes we've listened, like, he's the guy. I remember one time he's just like, everyone shut up. Like, this is what we need to do. Or like, he'll kind of like try to take that over. But I just don't know that Formal is like a natural leader per se. He's always been like the natural friar, right? Like, put him on the map, he's going to drop bombs. And maybe he's trying to take over that a little bit more. I don't know. But yeah, same question. I'm not sure.
That sort of what you said with the Clay listening, I just don't know if it's here.
Yeah, I mean, it's not the same type of communication for sure. The Formal one's an interesting one because like Formal has really good communication, but in terms of like,
based on from Halo, he definitely does. I mean, it's a whole different world.
But in terms of like directing traffic, I feel like they're a little bit different. If I'm being honest,
they are. I just found it interesting because I don't remember that being a thing as much. He's always had good comps. He's very good at telling people where people are and what to do in a sense, but not necessarily. I don't know, like in-game leader and having good comms are just two different things.
Yeah.
I just think at this point in the league, there requires more effort, and I just don't know if that's happening.
Interesting question
Honestly.
for chat. Chat, help me here. When did they stop streaming scrims? Was it after? Was it after
the
Major
Røkkr
2?
After the Major,
Yeah.
yeah. That's literally every year, bro. Like what Joe described, the Optic cycle. I forget it's a cycle until it happens again. I'm like, oh, we're back in the cycle.
And there's a lot of
that's
people
weird.
even like Troy shit, and I just don't think that's necessarily fair because Troy can be doing everything correctly, but if no one's listening,
I was in
what
that.
does it
I was in
matter?
that same seat. Yeah, people talk shit. It is what it is. If you're not
It's
winning,
also tough too. It's also tough too because we obviously all know, like, you have Scump, you have Formal. There's going to be extra content. There's going to be extra things, but like, I think at times there for them isn't the pressure that they may wake up one day and be like benched, or their coach can find them, or this and that, because what can Troy do? Because that's basically it.
this
right?
could be a
Like,
complete stretch. Like the not streaming, like in correlation, not streaming practice in correlation with like not as good. Like I don't know. It seems like I don't know if it's fundamentals or what the hell's going on, or just like lack of confidence. It's like I wonder what their scrim stats were, if there's like a percentage change due to like streaming or not streaming. So like if you're streaming, it's like harder. How do I want to word this?
I think it's fine to stream it as long as you're focusing on the game and not your fucking viewers.
Okay,
like, if you're
here's
streaming
my
friends,
point.
you can do it.
When you're live, it's like people are held more accountable. If that makes sense. Does that make sense?
puts more pressure
like
on.
people,
Yeah,
a bunch,
100%.
thousands of people are watching. You're not gonna sit there and get shit on. And if you are getting shit on, you're gonna do probably a lot more in your power to like not get shit on because you're live.
Let me respond to that though. You're saying that for Optic. Every other team is, if I'm getting shit on and not putting in equal effort, I lose my spot. Every other team is that is literally every other team is that they could get dropped. Correct?
Yeah.
I just don't think they feel that at times.
There's no like back against the wall. Like,
When do you think Chris will realize he's muted?
Well, he's muted, is he?
I saw him start to talk like 3 times. He's like, all right, I'm gonna let him know.
I was just gonna ignore it. And I was cool with it. I can speak. Sorry to interrupt here. I agree and disagree with like both those takes. I saw someone in the chat saying like apparently Scum said they got worse since they streamed scrims. I don't think streaming scrims has anything to do with you being a better or worse team. But also like in the same sense, like as like a whole, I don't think like if you're streaming scrims, maybe you'll do a little bit better because you get held accountable. Like I definitely see that argument. And you don't obviously if you're streaming like Scump, for example, when he scrims, probably 5,000 to 10,000 viewers every time at least.
Mhm.
Like you obviously don't want to just get smoked on stream, so you're going extra hard. That's not always what scrims are about, in my opinion. And like getting shit on and having those brutal days of like those like those brutal arguments I mean TeeP and Joe, you can probably attest that you've gotten into some brutal arguments with your teammates. Those are kind of needed sometimes. And I don't think the reason why this is kind of coming from a personal experience of why I don't like my team streaming scrims and just in general. I don't think it's other people. You should have to see other people's opinions when you're like streaming live or scrimming with your team. Like if you're doing really well, you don't need people, and this has nothing to do with Optic, by the way. This is just my personal opinion. You don't need people telling you that you're doing really well and you're carrying the team and you're getting no help. And like vice versa, if you're getting shit on or your team's getting shit on, you don't need every coach in the chat telling you how to, oh, you guys are losing Garrison because you're not rotating at this time. You don't need that. Like
doesn't help.
It doesn't help. Like sometimes too many opinions from too many people. You can't make everybody happy. You don't. Sometimes like you do let it influence you. Sometimes you just don't give a flying fuck. But then like at the same time, like I always like say like to my players, like if we were streaming scrims and someone like thanked the gifted sub while I was talking to them, I would that would be the end of them. I would never show up to a scrim again. You know what I mean? Just like It's just like I feel like there's a lot of distractions, which like I feel there's so much other time you can stream as a pro player. That's why I personally think like streaming scrims doesn't make any sense.
Huh?
You know what I mean? I don't think it helps or hurts Optic in any way. Like I have like that has nothing to do with them. That's just like always been my personal opinion as like a whole on like why that I just feel like practice with your team for like 4 or 5 hours should just be behind closed doors with the people that you trust. And like if you want another opinion, you get another coach. I fucking did it. Like I wanted more opinions on search and we got a different coach. It's like I think that's probably the most important time to like kind of keep it between like you and a few experts that you trust. Like I don't think you need every expert in the goddamn book telling me that, you know, oh, you Atlanta Faze sucks at hardpoint because they're not rotating at this time and this time. Like shut the fuck up. You know, I just feel like that's not necessary sometimes. And I understand that comes from a place of passion, but like you need to have that moment just to you and your players, and those arguments and those times you get shit on. I think those are actually probably the most important time of practice. I would say. I think those days are the most important. I don't know.
I want to address something in the middle of that though, quick before you go too far from it. You mentioned like sometimes you get brutal in practice, right? Where you go at it a little bit. I think Joe and I have said behind camera that we think Optics need to lock themselves in a room and go at it.
Fucking yell at each other.
But this is the problem. This is the problem there, and I don't think people are thinking about this. Everyone thinks of T2P with Scump and Formal like it's some fucking love relationship. There have been times where that fucking relationship was horrible. So I dissolved in the past, and I've always thought if this was going to work,
any friendship.
Yes, but I always wondered though, with this reuniting happening, if there was like some step like walking on eggshells type thing, with not trying to blow things up between those two. And I wonder if getting in a room and yelling at each other is actually not really an option there. Because I don't know if like something small could light that up where that's just not a great relationship anymore. I don't know if this team could just get a room and yell at each other. I don't know if that could be a thing.
That was my point. Like, I wonder who would step up on this team and be that guy. Who's going to be the ultimate dickhead?
Well,
I don't know.
I mean, it has to be the vets, right? I mean, it has to be Scump and Formal. They literally need to wake up one day, and if they truly like to another, if they are setting an example of showing up practice early, watching VODs of doing this, then what do you think Dashy and Envoy are going to do? Not do that? Like what? Like you're that's what you're doing. You set that example. But if they're not, then what do Dylan and Dashy care? Why would they care? Like they're not doing it, right? That's how I always like thought about it. That's like how you see like veterans in like other sports.
You've been watching Ted Lasso, bro. I respect it.
I mean, that does fall to your veterans, though. That falls to your vets to like set that example. To me, it's on those two to wake up one day and say, "I am, I'm fucking done. Like I'm done with this. Like we're fucking winning." To me, it's on those two.
Yeah,
that's it for me. Wake up, and that's it.
We just have to speculate on it.
Environment like different. Like yeah, like I can't like I see a couple people asking me to like answer questions about the Optic roster. Everything I'm saying on this show, and most of the time, anytime I do talk about it, I'm not talking about Optic. I'm talking from personal experience of why I don't like the stream scrims and like all that stuff. And like to what Joe's saying, it's like you never know the team dynamic of how people respond, because I've had teammates that you can go at pretty bad. Like I'm surprised me and Zuma are still best friends. To be honest with you, after some of the shit we've said to each other in scrims, but like. That was the best. Those were the best days for us when me or Zuma or me and Attach would like really go at it, like for like probably like an hour plus, like of just like nonstop. And like those are the best days for us. Where I have no idea how Optic works. I'm not saying that's what they need, but I think those days are super important. But that's the same thing with like what Joe is saying. Like I know what you mean. It just all depends on like the team dynamic and environment of what works best like for them. And I feel like you only really know that if you're them. You know what I mean?
All we can do is speculate on what we see. Is like I just don't see a world where their scrims on a daily basis are like that good based on the matches that we've seen recently. Like I'd be very surprised for like, oh, we went perfect maps and scrims today. We just didn't show up for the match. It doesn't seem like a situation like that to me. What do you say, Joe?
No, someone just said like, is our Dashing Envoy not vets now? They are, but they also know their place in the room. Like
it's not the same. It's not the same level.
Not the same.
Whatever you want to call it. Like it's not.
All I'm saying is if Formal and Scump, when they were like, "Hey, we're gonna get to the place where they hex quarters an hour, 2 hours early and do this, I bet you they're there on time, right? I mean, how would they not be? And if they aren't, who's getting told that they were late? Fucking boss. That's it. Like, I don't know. Like, to me, it's it for me. I just think they have to. There needs to be that extra level of effort for me.
And I don't know if they've ever had to like. I guess they've always. When you think of Scup and Formal, there's always been that dick on the team that's done it. Whether it was like a Crim or somebody like in the past, I feel like, or a Karma or someone that was willing to just get uncomfortable and blow shit up. I just don't know if that exists right now.
Like get them to the point where they're so annoyed that they just don't stop making mistakes.
Karma will fucking explode. You know how he was? Crim certainly won't hesitate to go in on the team. Like, who the fuck is that person? But they've always had someone like that. When they found success, right? Or am I missing something? For the most part, whenever they have found success, there has been someone on the team that's willing to be that villain on the squad, whatever you want to call it, go in on people when things are bad, work to fix things. I'm wondering if it's
fucking passion, dude.
I wonder if it's too much like, we love each other, we'll find a way to win, and not enough just got to get down to it type. I don't know.
I mean, the one thing I will say that I feel like a lot of the people in this league also overthink. I'm not necessarily defending them because I'm sure, like, being a fan of Optic and just like the caliber of players that they have, of course, you're always going to hold them to a high standards. But like, it is also a very long season. They're not in the worst spot in this. I mean, of course, they probably want to be better in standings. Obviously, I understand the standard that they get held to. I'm not stupid.
If they were any other team, it wouldn't be as big of a deal. But the fact is, they are Optic with those players. Yeah.
But my point is, and this goes for a lot of teams, even, I mean, we've been getting questioned too. It's like, it's a long fucking season, man. Like, peaking right now and winning right now is huge. It's good for the confidence, everything that we, it's so important. I'm not saying it's not. But like, you go through your ups and downs, like, a lot of it is just being able to bounce back and then like learning from it and that kind of stuff. And I feel like that gets overlooked. Like, I don't know. I've always been weirdly, like, even though I've never been on Optic, like a believer of their team, like when they want to do it, and like you're gonna have your downs. So it's just like, I don't know. I don't think, even though they haven't looked as good as people want, it's really not the end of the world. The only time it's the end of the world for any team, in my opinion, and I guess you can't really know this, but I don't think this is them, is like if they just like give up and stop actually caring about their team and just chalk it. And as crazy as that sounds, teams do that. I don't think this is one of the teams to do it, but at the same time, like, I know exactly where everyone's coming from at the same time. So like, I don't know. It's so hard to poke at someone else's camp without like knowing what actually goes on. That's the hardest thing for me, especially because I'm like a competitor of them. But just in general, like, so many people poke at us, so many people poke at them. Like, it's really hard to know, like, who needs to be the veteran, what needs to happen, what needs to change, like, for them to become the better team of what they want to do. It's so hard to know that without actually seeing what goes on. Even when they were streaming scrims, everyone knows the camera's on, man. That's still not behind closed doors. Like, I don't know.
Right.
It's tough, man. And it's a long season. They're not fighting right now for their lives at 8th to 9th place. They're in not the worst spot. They just have to, pick themselves up at the same time. I don't know. It's weird.
And it's like the whole like LAN argument comes up, and I get that. But the fact is if you look at Optic, the last 3 years when we've had LAN, Black Ops 4, World War II, and I mean, MW, they won the start of the year, but Black Ops 4 and World War II, it's not like people just have the Optic dynasty in the back of their head. That went away, right? Like they had the same issues in those 2 games, literally the same issues that we're talking about. We had roster issues, we had practice issues. The same thing happened, even on LAN.
True.
Oh,
and
no.
Now we're talking about the competition getting better. Like, what do we mean here? Like, I get it. I hated playing online, but I'm just saying, like, it's not like this is the Optic Dynasty team and they went from LAN online. It's not. We're talking about a team since what? The IW World Championship that has struggled. Not struggled, but they have not been the same Optic. Right?
The best online setup in the world since the league started a year and a half ago. I mean, all
that's
four,
like
fiber
this has been an issue.
same building.
Or
Yeah.
World War II, Black Ops 4, MW, they won the first land. That's the only one we saw. But those 2 years, we still saw the same thing. Oh.
Yeah.
Anyways, it's all
We
speculation.
kind of have to wrap this up though,
Yeah.
because we start in 20 minutes. I gotta go eat something real quick.
Yeah.
I hate to stop on this, but
No,
like we got
that's fine. We've been talking
we got
about.
Warzone Wednesday
Do
coming
you
up.
want to do quick predictions? We'll head out.
Yeah.
Cool. Sounds good. Chat, I'm going to throw up the bracket. We're going to go through each one of us and give you guys some predictions throughout the bracket for the major coming up. And it starts tomorrow. So let's knock this out real quick. Pull up the bracket real quick. Bang. Boom. Who should we start? Crowder, take it away. Obviously, your team is going to win. Like, that's where you're going to vote. You're the coach of Faze, right? If you want to go, I don't know, maybe give some quick thoughts on some of these matches, these matchups in round one, maybe. Who you think they're going to make your way through winners, teams that look pretty good to you. Light thoughts from Crowder real quick.
Yeah, avoiding my team, I think LA Thieves wins this match.
Yeah.
I know Florida looks a little bit better, but I think the more reps they get with Huke, I think the better they'll get. I think they took a step backwards by picking him up at first because they had to, re-get the chemistry that they were getting so well. They looked really good with TJ, period. But I think it was a no-brainer. I didn't get to really talk about that, but Huke is just so good. TJ was actually doing very well in the squad. I have nothing against him. He's really good, but I think they made a long-term move. But I think the more they play with him, the better they'll get. And then going to the losers bracket of things, I'm taking Surge. I think Surge still has the higher ceiling compared to the Gorillas. I think the way like Surge can play, I'd be a little bit more confident on them. And then Ravens versus Legion. I was a little bit of a Paris believer. They're struggling too much for me to put my faith in them. But the weird Royal Raven drama that we saw on Twitter the other day, I don't know. So that match, I will coin flip that.
Might
Not a
be
big fan of that
shambles.
phrase. I have no idea what the fuck's about to happen there.
Gotcha.
But I think Surge has a higher ceiling right now than Gorillas. So I think if Surge plays to their potential, they should win that. But we'll see.
Last thing from you before we move on, Crowder, pick like one team you think can make a run throughout loser bracket. Who's the most well equipped to win a bunch of one and dones like that?
I think Røkkr.
Got it.
I think Røkkr or Optic, one of those two. I think the other four teams might hold
Yeah,
fall
Optic
short
could
and
find
make
rhythm
it
again and get back to the form that they're at before and start cruising for sure. Joe, take it away. Predictions for winner. Who do you think is going to make your way to like the loser final, loser bracket? Thoughts?
Okay. Faze beats Empire. I have Thieves beating Mutineers.
Yep.
Ultra Faze rematch. Oh boy.
Spicy one for sure.
Spicy boy. I think NYSL makes winners final. Oof. I am gonna go Faze to play them.
Beat Ultra.
In the winners final. Yep. And then I have Faze Ultra final.
Who wins?
I think Ultra gets all the way through.
Who wins?
Who wins? You put me. I'd probably pick Faze.
Faze to win. Got it. Baldy, go.
Literally skip me because Joe said exactly what I was gonna pick. Everything he said, I'm doing. So I don't know if I should reiterate it or just what Joe said.
Okay.
I'd Faze Thieves, then Faze Subliners.
I think with all the
Faze
changes
Ultra
and everything,
final.
Faze and Ultra are just a step ahead with all the changes within the teams.
Yeah, I never got to say it, but I think Ultra looks great. I know I never really got to say that because I wasn't here when you guys were talking about them, but
I
they've been doing
agree
really,
with
really
like
well.
all the takes on Faze and Ultra. Like they just look like the most well-rounded. New York just like has the potential to do it. Do they have a deep enough map pool and like S&D and control yet? It's just still too soon. I have the same sort of thoughts about Thieves, right? Thieves could come out and just start smoking everybody, but they did look like they took a step back for a second too. So you have to stick to your guns with like Faze and Ultra. Whoever cruises on the top side of winner bracket, you guys see it up there, right? You got to figure they're going to carry that momentum to make it to the grand final. Whoever drops back down, I just feel like map pool wise, any sort of map veto selections, things like that, Faze and Ultra just have a more well-rounded squad for sure. I think the loser bracket's going to get pretty crazy towards the end of it. Do I think anyone's going to make a crazy run? I think Røkkr's going to make a solid run up towards like round maybe like 4, but someone's going to drop down, be too good. I'm thinking like, I think you have to stick to like Faze Ultra, New York, Thieves. Maybe Empire could make some moves too, but Empire's going to have to go on a crazy loser run. I can see that happening. Okay, who do I have winning though? All that being said, do I think Ultra's going to go back to back, or am I giving it to Faze? I think Faze is going to do it too. I feel like...
Why do we all feel that way? I don't know.
I don't know.
I do.
I just feel like...
Because they've lost 3 series on the year.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And like...
Yeah.
They just have a team that has proven to bounce back and figure out a way. We haven't seen enough reps from everyone else yet. Like Ultra is steamrolling, but
I guess I feel like I would have felt different after Ultra played as well as they did in the group. Like their group sucked.
Yeah.
So I guess I still think
leaving Ultra. We're all saying they're gonna get to the final.
Yeah.
Well, Ultra in the final. I don't think I'm sleeping on them at all. I think Faze is gonna win.
I think it's gonna be a close ass series, and it's gonna come down to little things. Simple as that.
I ordered maple syrup from Canada, so I'm ready.
Dude, people are so dumb.
Hey, what are you using the Ultra? I mean, the maple syrup again? Is that what you're doing?
Yeah, if they win, I'm gonna dump it all over myself, dude.
No one needs to see this again.
Little syrup bukkake.
That's okay. Chat, we're done with the episode. That just pissed me off. You just did that. One more time.
The syrup, dude.
Is this syrup?
You are the worst.
Why are you so good at that?
I don't know. Lots of practice.
I'm sad mode again.
All right, these guys have a sponsor stream. We got to head on out of here. Chat, thank you so much for stopping by for the episode. We almost got, viewership started to creep up a little bit there, chat. Let's go. Appreciate you guys stopping by. You guys are streaming like right after this, right? I'll send a host over y'all's way if you guys are streaming. Yeah.
Yes, we both are.
Yeah.
I can go live right now, Joe, unless you're able to.
I gotta go eat. Go ahead.
Yeah, I was gonna too, but I'll if I get the TeeP host, I'll just go live. Fuck it.
Cool. Sounds good.
Wait,
chat, thank you guys so much. Yeah, they're going live.
What, Chris?
I'm my bad. I'm doing two things at once, but I'm hosting you after I get off too. I just wanted to know.
Oh yeah. I want you to hop on my face. I'm gonna play Resident Evil later too.
Weird. Chat, we love you. Thank you so much for watching. Tap the follow button. Follow all the streams. I'm going to send you all over to Baldy's Dumbass. Enjoy him. We'll see you in the morning for the next stream. Goodbye now.
Bye.